The laptop screen casts a pale, sick blue light across the kitchen table. It's 3 in the morning. The house is perfectly silent. A thick, heavy silence of the cookie-cutter suburbs. I can smell the glue, a chemical, artificial sweetness, mixed with the ammonia from the solution I just mixed. On the screen, a young woman with a smile too wide and empty eyes is talking. And the secret, she says, her voice high-pitched, jarringly cheerful, is to stir constantly. Don't stop, or it won't set right. She's giving a tutorial on how to make slime, a craft video. The title is How to Make the Stretchiest Slime. The video is 8 minutes long. I have watched it 47 times. I look down at the big glass bowl. Inside, a gallon of thick, white glue. It looks like spoiled milk, motionless under the kitchen fluorescence. Next to the bowl is a bottle of contact lens solution, a box of baking soda, and a small, unlabeled vial. That's the special activator. I bought it from a website my husband, Mark, would never visit. I begin to stir. The sound of the wooden spoon scraping against the glass is loud in the night. It disturbs the air. It makes the silence move. Mark thinks I am having a breakdown. He used that word. Breakdown. He says, I need rest. He says, we should sell this house. He says we can't keep living like this. He doesn't understand. He doesn't watch the videos. He doesn't read the comments. Even though the comments are disabled, I can still see them, faded like ghosts on the screen when I rewind. It worked. Thank you, I saw my daughter. It brought her back. I am doing this for Lily. The spoon scrapes. Scrape, 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 steady, like a heartbeat. Now, the girl on screen says, her smile frozen. Add her favorite color. I open the drawer. Next to the silverware is a vial of food coloring. Pink. Lily always chose pink. I squeeze in 10 drops. The glue turns a pale, Pepto pink, the color of cotton candy, the color of healthy gums. I stir. My arm is starting to ache, but I don't dare stop. The video said not to stop. This house is new. We moved here 6 months ago, right after I stopped the thought. Thinking is the enemy. There is only the action, only the recipe. I pour in the activator, the liquid from the unlabeled bottle. It smells like hot metal and something sweet rotting, like lilacs left too long in a vase. Instantly, the mixture reacts. It seizes. The sound of the stirring changes from scrape, scrape, to a thick, wet slop, slop, slop. The goo begins to pull away from the sides of the bowl, coiling around the spoon. It isn't glue anymore. It's something else. It's pink. But under the light, it has a sheen, almost an iridescence, like fleck. I put my hand in. It's cold, a shocking, unnatural cold, like touching dry ice. And it's sticky. It clings to my fingers instantly, pink threads stretching as I try to pull back. But the strangest part is the feel. It pushes back, just a little, a faint, rhythmic resistance. Like it's breathing. I shudder, but not from fear. It's hope. A terrible, cold bubble of hope rising in my chest. The girl on the video isn't smiling anymore. She's staring right at me. Now, she whispers, her voice now husky and devoid of all cheer. It needs a connection. I know what that means. I wipe my hands on my jeans, the goo sticking like a second skin. I go upstairs. Mark is asleep in our master bedroom. He sleeps with pills. His door is closed. The air in the room is colder than the rest of the house. It always is. I turn on the bunny nightlight. The soft glow illuminates the empty crib. I look in the box. Inside, on the blue velvet lining, is a lock of hair. Blonde, soft. I cut it on her first birthday. I drop it onto the slime. For a second, nothing. The lock of hair just sits on the wet pink surface. Then, the slime twitches. It swells up, enveloping the lock of hair, pulling it under. A large bubble rises to the surface and bursts. Papa's smell fills the air. No longer chemicals. No longer rotten flowers. It smells like baby shampoo. Lily's smell. I sob. A dry, tearing sound from my throat. Lily, I whisper. I turn back to the laptop. The screen is black. The video is over, but new text has appeared. Simple white font. It isn't enough. I stare at the words. What? What does that mean? I followed every step. It needs warmth. It needs a home. I look at the bowl of slime. It's moving. Not just a pulse. It's churning slowly on its own. The pink mass is darkening, turning a sickly gray, the color of ash mixed with dried blood. The lock of hair is gone. What do? I failed. I hear a sound, a faint click from upstairs. I freeze. Mark, if he sees. But it wasn't Mark's footsteps. It came from Lily's room. I pick up the bowl. It's heavier than I thought. The thing inside is dense and shifts, making me almost drop it. Its cold seeps through the glass, burning my skin. I walk up the stairs, one by one, trying not to let the contents slosh. The door to Lily's room is open. I was sure I had closed it. I step inside. The room is dark, lit only by the bunny nightlight. And there is a sound, a hiss, faint, like radio static. It's coming from the baby monitor on the changing table, the one I forgot to turn off. The one that has been silent for 6 months. I place the bowl of slime on the floor, right next to the crib. The mass inside seems to settle, as if it's listening. The static grows louder. And then, through the static, a voice, a whisper, dry as autumn leaves, cold. My heart hammers against my ribs. Lily, cold. Mommy, I lunge for the monitor. Lily, I'm here. Can you hear me? The static roars, then cuts to silence. I look down at the bowl of slime. It has stopped moving. That sickly gray color. It looks dead. No, I gasp. No, don't go. Please. I run back to the laptop in the kitchen. I fly, stumbling on the stairs. The screen is still black, but the text has changed. The strongest memory. It must be the warmest. I run back to Mark's bedroom. He's still asleep, his breathing heavy. I open the closet. In the back, in a plastic garment bag, is it the yellow blanket, the one the hospital wrapped her in when she was born, the one I slept with every night after she got sick? Meningitis. That's what they called it. Fast. Unstoppable. I rip the blanket from the bag and run back to Lily's room. The bowl of slime is still there, motionless. "I'm here," I whisper, hot tears streaming down my face. "I have something warm for you." I clutch the knitted blanket. It still smells faintly of her, a ghost of milk and baby powder. I pressed the blanket into the bowl. The reaction is immediate. The slime swells, it spills over the rim of the bowl, pouring onto the cream-colored carpet. It seizes the blanket, pulling it in with a wet, disgusting suction. The color changes. It's no longer pink or gray. It turns the pale yellow of the blanket, but a sicky yellow, mottled with dark streaks. It begins to make a sound, a gurgling sound, as if air is being forced into mud. Glug, glug, club. The baby monitor clicks on. No static. The twinkle, twinkle, little star melody plays from the small speaker. But it's wrong. The tune is slow, distorted, the notes dragging out painfully, as if the music box is underwater. And then the voice, clear, no longer a dry whisper. It's Lily's voice. "Mommy." I collapse to my knees. "Baby, I'm here. You did it." The voice is coming from the monitor. "You got the recipe right." The mass of slime on the floor convulses. It's shaping itself. It's no longer a puddle. It's rising. A small, wet, yellow mound is forming on the carpet. "Sarah," Mark's voice. I spin around. He's standing in the doorway. His face is white. His eyes are wide, staring at the thing on the floor. "My God. Sarah, what is that smell?" The room stinks. Ammonia, hot metal, and baby shampoo. "Mark," I cry. "Look, I did it." "She's back." "Back," he repeats, his voice numb. "Sarah, what is that?" "No," Mark says, shaking his head. He steps into the room. "That's glue. That's a pile of chemicals. You're sick, Sarah. You need help." "No, listen." I point to the baby monitor. The distorted melody is still playing. "Mark," I say, "listen." Mark looks at the baby monitor, then at me. His face crumples in a way I haven't seen in months. "Sarah," he says, his voice breaking. "The monitor isn't plugged in. I unplugged it weeks ago." I look. The cord is coiled on the floor, a foot from the socket. The music is still playing. Lily's voice speaks again. But this time, it doesn't come from the monitor. It comes from the pile on the floor. "Daddy," it says, a wet, bubbling voice. Mark screams. A short, choked-off sound. He stumbles back. The yellow mass of slime shudders. It's about 2 feet high. It's trying to take a shape, a familiar shape. "No," Mark whispers, his hand flying to his mouth. "It can't be." "Don't be scared, Mark," I say, my voice almost a hysterical laugh. "She's just forming. She's gone, Sarah. Mark sobs. Our baby is gone. 6 months ago. She died in the hospital. You're lying, I hiss. You just want to hurt me. She's right here. The mask shakes violently, and from the top, something begins to emerge. It's not a head. It's a hen. A small, chubby baby hand made entirely of glistening, yellow slime. It reaches into the air. The fingers clench, grasping baby. I breathe, reaching out. Mark grabs my wrist. Don't touch it. Let me go. Sarah, look at it. His voice is shaking with terror. Look at the hand. I look at the hand. It's waving toward me. But something is wrong. I count the fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 fingers on the hand. 6 small, slimy fingers, beckoning. The mass below it begins to swell, larger, and more things begin to push out from the inside. Not a body. Parts. A foot. Something that looks like an ear. And more hands. Dozens of tiny 6-fingered hands tearing through the surface, reaching for us. That's not Lily, Mark whispers. The twinkle, twinkle melody stops abruptly. A new sound comes from the mass. A laugh, a gurgling, bubbling laugh. I found you, Mommy. Lily's voice says from the growing mass. But it's not alone. There are other voices under it. Dozens of them children's whispers, all speaking at once. We found you. So warm. Play with us. The mass is spreading, covering the carpet. It's moving toward us. We have to get out of here. Mark pulls at my arm, but I can't move. I'm staring into the center of the trembling pile, where Lily's lock of hair vanished. Inside the translucent goo, I see something. A face. Not Lily's. A pale face, with black, beady eyes, and a smile that is far too wide. It's the girl from the tutorial. She's inside the slime. And she's waving at me. It needs more. Lily's voice and 100 other voices chime from the mass. We need more. The slime touches my foot. It's cold. A searing, painful cold. It clings to my ankle, sticking fast, and I feel it pull. Mark yells, trying to pull me back. But it's too strong. The yellow slime is crawling up my leg, hardening like wet cement but still moving like a living thing. It yanks. I fall. Mark won't let go of my hand. He's pulling, screaming my name. The mass surges over him. The small, 6-fingered hands grab his arms, his chest. He screams as the cold hits him. Mommy. Daddy. Lily's voice chimes, horribly cheerful, right next to my ear. Now we're a whole family. I turn my head. I'm sinking into it. Mark is too. The last thing I see before the wet cold covers my face is the laptop screen down the hall. It's on again. A new video is playing. The girl with the wide smile and empty eyes is looking at the camera. Behind her, in her own glass bowl, is a pink mass of slime. And inside that slime, I can see 2 tiny figures banging on the glass, their faces silent in a scream. Hi guys, the girl on the screen says, her voice piercingly bright, drowning out the wet, gurgling sounds from Lily's room. Welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going to make a brand new batch. Thanks for watching until the end. What was your favorite part? Please let me know in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to leave a like share it, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss my future content. Your support is my biggest motivation. Thank you all so much.
3 a.m. It was always 3 a.m. The silence in our 14th floor apartment was so thick you could almost touch it. It pressed against my ears, a static pressure. I held my breath, waiting. Beside me, Mark was dead to the world, his breathing deep and heavy, completely untouched by the tension strangling my chest. He always slept like that, leaving me alone to face the dark. And then it came. A single, shrill electronic note rang out from the next room. Then a second. Do 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 do. The sickeningly cheerful tune of Baby Shark tore through the night. My heart gave a single, hard, dry tap. I opened my eyes, the white ceiling blurred overhead. No, not again tonight. Please. I pushed the heavy comforter away. The cold of the November hardwood floor shot right through the soles of my feet. A shiver ran up my spine, but it wasn't from the cold. I didn't turn on the light. I knew the path too well. I walked through the short hallway. The air was thick. A strange smell had seeped into the apartment lately. A musty, fishy stench, like old pond water, cutting right through the faint scent of baby powder. Light bled from the crack under Liam's door, a pale blue glow, flickering unevenly. It wasn't flickering in time with the song. It had its own rhythm, slow, like a pulse. I pushed the door open. The room was bathed in that grotesque blue light. It was coming from it. The lemon yellow stuffed shark. It was sitting on the windowsill, facing inwards. I'd put it in the toy box last night. I was sure of it. I'd buried it. Now, its black plastic eyes stared blankly at the crib, reflecting the blue light. Its permanent, stitched-on grin seemed wider in the shadows, and it was singing. The song spilled from the teeny speaker inside its belly. Mommy Shark, do-do-do-do-do-do-do. But the sound was wrong, warped, as if the batteries were dying. But it wasn't just dying. It was distorted. Do-beep, do-do. And beneath the tune, I could almost hear another sound. A wet, shuffling noise. Liam was asleep in his crib. My 3-year-old angel, curled up under his cloud-patterned blanket. His breathing was light. But even in sleep, his brow was furrowed, as if he was having a nightmare. I tiptoed to the shark. The worn fleece felt wrong under my fingers. It was damp. A cold, clammy dampness. I grimaced. The fishy smell was overpowering, rolling off it in waves. I fumbled for the switch on its dorsal fin. My finger pressed something soft and yielding. I flinched, pulling my hand back. But then I pushed hard, flipping the switch. The music cut off abruptly. The silence crashed down on the room, heavier than before. Nothing but Liam's breathing and the high-pitched ringing in my own ears. I picked the shark up. It was heavier than usual. Waterlogged. I threw it into the toy box, using both hands to shove it down, burying it beneath wooden blocks and plastic trucks. I had to make sure it stayed put. I looked back at Liam, kissed his warm forehead, and left quietly, pulling the door almost shut. It all started 3 weeks ago. Mark bought it at some closeout toy store. Last one on the shelf, he'd said, grinning. I know you hate this song, but look at its face. The kid do love it. And Liam had loved it. Shark, shark, he'd babble, making me play this song over and over. Bay-B-shark. Double quotes. All day, the do-do-do haunted the apartment. Then it started turning itself on at night, always at 3 a.m. At first, I blamed a short circuit. Just take the batteries out, Sarah, Mark mumbled. But that was the thing. There were no batteries. It was some kind of wind-up, or a mechanism I couldn't find. It just had an on-off switch. Mark didn't believe. He said I was just sleep deep. I sleep like a rock, he'd say. He slept. And I lay awake, listening to that electronic song, alone in the dark. The following days, exhaustion clung to me like a second skin, cold and dumb. I became irritable. My eyes bruised shadows. Every little sound made me jump. The shark kept singing, no matter how many times I shut it off or where I hid it. The next morning, it would be there. Not always on the windowsill. Once, I found it in the kitchen sink, lying on its back on a pile of dirty dishes. Another time, it was right in the middle of the hallway, and I nearly tripped over it. Each time, it seemed damper. The fishy smell stronger. Liam started to change. He'd just sit on the rug for hours, just staring at the toy box. Not playing, just staring. Sometimes he'd take his crayons and draw. Not suns and houses, just dark blue and black scribbles, overlapping spirals like churning water. One afternoon, I was folding laundry. The apartment was eerily quiet. Then I heard it. A whisper from Liam's room. I crept barefoot to his door, holding my breath. No, Liam whimpered. I don't want to. A pause. I strained to hear no reply. My mommy said no. Liam whispered again. His voice was trembling. Go away. I don't want to play. My heart clenched. Who was he talking to? I pushed the door open. Liam, who are you talking to? Sweetie? Liam jumped. He was sitting with his back to me, facing an empty corner. He whipped around, his eyes wide with fear. Nobody. I heard you talking, honey. I stepped in, scanning the room. I was talking to Shark. Liam pointed to the toy box. Primera frowned. The yellow shark was sitting right on top, though I clearly remembered burying it. Its plastic eyes seemed to be looking right at me. What did Shark say to you? I tried to keep my voice calm. Liam looked down at the floor. He wants to play hide and seek. Hide and seek, he said. Liam looked up, his clear eyes cloudy with a fear I didn't understand. He said he'll find me, no matter where I hide. A chill snaked down my spine. Okay, sweetie. I scooped him up, holding him tight. No more playing with Shark. He's a mean toy. That night, I didn't just bury the shark. I took it, marched it to the kitchen, and shoved it in the silverware drawer beneath the heavy spoons. I shut the drawer. I put Liam back to bed. I sang him Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, until his breathing evened out. I went back to our room. Mark was already asleep. I lay awake. I watched the clock. 11 p.m. Midnight. 1 a.m. 3 a.m. The silence broke. Not from Liam's room. This time, it was closer. It was coming from the kitchen. Do-do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do. I sat bolt upright. My throat was sand. Mark, I shook his shoulder hard. Mark, wake up. Do you hear that? It's in the kitchen. Mark groaned, batting my hand away. Sarah, let me sleep. You're having another nightmare. It's not a nightmare, I shrieked, my voice cracking. Listen! We both went still. There was only the sound of Mark's breathing. The music had stopped. See? Mark mumbled, pulling the covers over his head. You're just over it. Go to sleep. I sat there, trembling in the dark. Was I going crazy? No. I heard it. I slowly got out of bed. The floor was scalded. The smell, it was overpowering. Rolling in from the kitchen, the smell of dead fish. I walked into the kitchen. The street lights from the window cast long, distorted shadows. The silverware drawer, it was open, just a crack. I swallowed, my hand shaking. I pulled it open. The yellow shark was lying on its back, nestled among the knives and forks, still grinning. And as I stared at it, the speaker box inside it gave a dry click. And then it sang. But this time it wasn't the synthesized child's voice. It was a whisper, a hoarse, wet rasp, as if from a throat that had been submerged too long. Sarah, do. It was saying my name. I screamed. A raw, primitive sound. I grabbed the shark. Its fleece was soaking, dripping a thick, dark brown liquid onto the kitchen floor. I ran to the hallway, to the big window at the end of the hall, the one that overlooked the sleeping city. I fumbled with the safety latch. My fingernail broke. I didn't care. I yanked the window open. The cold night air slapped my face. Get out! I shrieked. I held the shark up and, with all my strength, I threw it out. I watched it fall, a small yellow speck, tumbling over and over, disappearing into the darkness 14 stories below. I gasped for air, leaning against the wall, my chest heaving. It was done. It was finally done. It was gone. I went back to Liam's room. He was still fast asleep, undisturbed. I closed the window, locking the latch. I wiped my hand on my pajama pants, trying to get rid of the disgusting, slimy feeling. I went back to bed. For the first time in weeks, I fell into a heavy, dreamless sleep. I woke the next morning feeling strangely light. The sun was shining. Mark had left a note. Early meeting. Love you. I smiled. A real smile. I made coffee. I put on classical music. The fishy smell was gone. Liam, sweetie, time for breakfast, I called cheerfully. I went to his room. The crib was empty. The cloud blanket was tossed on the floor. My heart skipped a beat. Liam, I called, my voice losing its cheer. Hide and seek isn't funny, honey. No answer. The apartment was silent, except for the soaring violins. I checked the bathroom, the closet, under the bed. Nothing. Panic began to rise like bile in my throat. Liam, where are you? Liam? I ran out to the living room, and I saw it. It was lying in the middle of the Persian rug. The yellow shark. It was perfectly dry. Not a smudge, not a tear from a 14-story fall. As if it had never left, its stitched-on grin seemed to be mocking me. Primera basket away, bumping into the coffee table. I couldn't breathe. How? And then I felt it under my feet. The rug, it was damp. Primera looked down, the rug was soaked. Murky, brackish water was bubbling up from the fibers. The stench hit me so strong I gagged. The smell of rotting seaweed and dead fish. I saw the wet trail. It led from the front door, across the living room, and stopped at the shark, as if it had walked in. No, I whispered. I heard water, the sound of a faucet running, full blast. It was coming from our bathroom, Liam. I sprinted to the bathroom. The door was closed. I twisted the knob. It was locked from the inside. Liam. Open the door. Liam, it's Mommy. I pounded on the door. The doorknob was slippery, clammy. Water was seeping from under the door, pooling on the hallway floor. Ice-cold water. Inside, the sound of running water stopped abruptly. A heavy, oppressive silence fell. Then, faintly, but unmistakably, Baby Sharky. Do. It was Liam's voice, but it was muffled, strained, as if he were singing through a thick layer of water, as if he were underwater. Liam, I screamed, blind with panic. Mommy's coming in. I threw my full weight against the door. The wood splintered. I hit it again. The door flew open, slamming against the wall. I froze. The bathroom was dark. The light bulb overhead flickered, sizzled, and died. The only light was a sickening, pale blue glow coming from the bathtub. The tub, it was full to the brim, overflowing. The water wasn't clear. It was black, opaque as mud, and it was steaming, a cold mist fogging the mirror. The air was thick with the smell of salt and decay. Liam? I tiptoed forward. The tile floor was treacherous. The water, and I looked into the tub. The black surface was still. I couldn't see the bottom. Sweetheart, I knelt, my hand trembling as I reached for the edge. Something moved under the water. I snatched my hand back. It wasn't Liam. It was too big. A dark, long shape glided just beneath the surface. Then another. Several of them. They were circling. I held my breath, backing away, and then a sound right by my ear. A garbled, electronic chuckle. Peekaboo, do. I whipped my head around. The yellow shark was there, sitting on the sink. Its plastic eyes reflected my own abject terror. It was soaking wet, dripping that dark brown sludge into the white porcelain basin. Its mouth opened. Find him. Sarah, That hoarse whisper rasped. Deep, deep, deep. I screamed. I scrambled back, slipping on the wet tile. I fell backward, my head cracking against the door frame. Everything blurred. I looked at the tub. The black water began to churn violently, as if something massive was rising from the depths. No! Liam, I tried to crawl, but my body wouldn't move. The bathroom doorway filled. Sarah? That voice. It cut through the nightmare like a scalpel. I turned. Mark was standing in the doorway. He was in his work suit, his briefcase in his hand. The bright morning sun from the hallway backlit him. He hadn't gone to work. Sarah, what are you doing? His face was pale, not with fear. With exhaustion. With agony. I looked at him, confused. Liam, I sobbed. I can't find him. The shark, it was in the tub. It was talking. Mark walked into the bathroom. He stepped right past me. I followed his gaze. The room, it was dry. The white tile was pristine. Bright. The bathtub was empty. Bone dry. There was no water. No stench. No blue light. No blue light. The yellow shark lay face down on the bath mat next to the toilet. Limp, soft, and completely harmless. Sarah. Oh, Sarah. Mark sighed, a sigh so heavy with a sorrow I suddenly understood. He knelt beside me, gently taking my hand. Mart, the shark was singing. I wept. It was talking. It told me to find Liam. He was in the water. He was right here. Stop it! His voice broke. He gripped my hand tightly. Please, don't do this again. Not today. What are you talking about? I looked at him, my brain refusing to understand. He was just here. He was singing. I heard him. Sarah. He looked directly into my eyes. His were full of tears. You know Liam isn't here. I frowned. No. He's in his room. He's just hiding, Sarah. His voice was firm, saturated with pain. Liam has been gone for 6 months. No. Don't you remember? He pleaded, his voice cracking. The company picnic. The lake, Willow Creek Lake. You looked away for 1 second, Sarah. Just 1 second. The words hit me like thousands of icy knives. No, it was a lie. I had just kissed his forehead last night. No. I shook my head, trying to fight off the images flooding back. The water, the dark blue, the screaming, the small, still hand. No, no, you're lying. He's here. He's playing hide and seek. He's gone, Sarah. Mark was crying now, his hot tears falling onto my hand. Our boy is gone. He's not coming back. The whole apartment seemed to tilt. Reality, the one I had so carefully avoided, shattered around me. The sleepless nights, the exhaustion, the 3 a.m. music. There was no music, just the silence, the awful, crushing silence, and me, weeping into my pillow, trying not to wake him. The shark, I had thrown it out. Yes, I remembered the wind on my face, but I had gone down at 5 a.m. while Mark was asleep. I had found it lying on the damp grass. I had snuck it back in. I had hidden it. I had been placing it. I had been wetting it in the sink. I looked at the empty tub. The bathroom. This is where I had tried to revive him. After they handed him to me, I had pressed on his tiny chest, but only cold water came out. The truth was too cold. I slowly pulled my hand from Mark's. He watched me, terrified. I slowly stood up. My shoulder ached. I walked over and picked up the stuffed shark. It was light, dry, lifeless. Sarah, throw it away, Mark begged. The doctor said, it's an anchor. It's not healthy. I raised a finger to my lips, hushing him. I hugged the shark to my chest. I pressed my ear to its stitched-on grin, closing my eyes. The silence of the apartment pressed in. I listened hard, past my husband's broken sobs, and I heard it. Faint, as if from a great, deep distance, the sound of lapping water, and a tiny, bubbling whisper. Mummy shark, do-do-do. A slow smile spread across my face. It was real. I wasn't crazy. I turned to my husband. His face crumpled in fear. Fear of me. He took a step back. It's okay, Mark, I whispered, stroking the shark. My tears stopped. He's not gone. Can't you hear him? I held the shark to my ear. He's safe. He's waiting for me. I began to rock, gently, humming, safe at last. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Thanks for watching until the end. What was your favorite part? Please let me know in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to leave a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss my future content. Your support is my biggest motivation. Thank you all so much.
I'm a sound hunter. That's what I call myself. My name is Rohan, and I record what the world tries to forget. The whistle of wind through a ruined fort in Rajasthan. The drip of water in a dry stepwell in Gujarat. I believe that every place has a sonic signature, a frequency, logic, physics, nothing mystical. That's why I came to this isolated village in the Himalayas. They said the old monastery on the mountainside, Gomaikla, was the quietest place on earth. The locals, with their averted eyes and clicking prayer beads, said it was silent because it was hungry. I scoffed at them. Silence isn't hungry, it's just empty. And I was here to record that emptiness. The air here is thin and cold, tasting of metal. The village clings to the cliffside like an abandoned swallow's nest. The monastery was even higher, a gray pile of stone and rotting wood clinging to the mountain. The locals refused to guide me. That place is not for the living, Sahib. It keeps things. I took only my professional gear, my F6 recorder, sensitive microphones, and a pair of monitoring headphones I trusted more than my own ears. Gomaikla was bone-chillingly cold. Wind howled through the broken windows. But inside the walls, a heavy, oppressive stillness took over. It wasn't peace. It was a compressed silence, as if the air was too thick to vibrate. The smell of dust, old bat guano, and something sweet and sharp, like incense that had burned out centuries ago. I walked through the ruined prayer hall, murals of wrathful gods peeling from the walls. In a small room at the back, almost buried by a collapsed beam, I found it. It wasn't a modern recorder. It was ancient. A heavy brass machine with large magnetic reels. It was intricately made, etched with symbols I didn't recognize. The strange part was, it looked almost new, not a speck of dust on it. A professional possessiveness rose in me. This was an artifact. There was no electricity, surely, but when I pressed my finger to a button made of what looked like obsidian, it emitted a soft hiss. And then, the reels began to turn. I quickly put on my headphones, plugging an adapter into the strange output jack. I expected chance. Or just the wind. The first sound was gravel. Not gravel being stepped on, but gravel being gently sifted, maybe in a wooden bowl. The sound was incredibly close. Not in the center, but in my left ear. Then it panned smoothly to the right. Hyper-realistic. I could hear the smallest particles falling. Then, the whispering. A voice, maybe female, but impossibly deep. It wasn't speaking any language I knew. Just sibilant sounds, long ses and sh sounds, gliding over my eardrums like dry silk. Finally, the sound of pouring. Slow, viscous, not water, maybe honey or oil. That thick liquid sound, draining into a narrow container, making a deep, satisfying glug. A current ran down my spine, spreading across my scalp. It was ASMR, the brain tingle I sometimes chased online after a stressful day. But this was on another level. It was powerful, almost invasive. The relaxation was absolute. I sat there in the freezing monastery and felt warm, safe. I took the headphones off. The oppressive silence of the room rushed in. I shuddered, not from the cold. I quickly recorded the output of the strange device onto my F6. I had to analyze this file. That night, in my small guest house room, I couldn't sleep. The wind beat against the windows like small fists. I plugged my headphones into the F6. I played the Go Make La recording. The gravel crunched in my left ear. The whispering glided past. The viscous liquid, the relaxation hit me like a drug. I fell into the deepest, most dreamless sleep I'd had in years. I started using it every night. It became my ritual. I'm a sound scientist. I told myself I was studying it. I ran it through analysis software. The waveform was bizarre. The whispering, when I tried to isolate it, seemed to lack a human fundamental frequency. It was like white noise shaped into speech. The gravel had a rhythm. It took me 3 days to realize it. The rhythm matched, almost perfectly, my own resting heart rate. I tried to ignore that. A coincidence. About a week later, things started to change. I was making tea. The kettle was screaming. I had my headphones on, but I was listening to classical music, not the recording. I grabbed the kettle, and as I poured the boiling water into my cup, I heard it, the deep, viscous glug. I looked at the clear, splashing water. The sound didn't match the sight. I took my headphones off. The normal hiss of boiling water returned. I put them back on. Classical music. I poured the tea again. Glug, the sound had grafted itself onto my brain, overlaying reality. I was unnerved. I decided to take a night off. I turned off all my gear. I lay in bed, listening only to the wind. But the silence wasn't empty anymore. I heard it, very faintly. The crunching gravel. I sat bolt upright. The sound stopped. I lay back down, trying to relax. My heart was pounding in my chest. And then I heard it in sync. Crunch, crunch, crunch. It wasn't in my headphones. It seemed to be coming from the wall, or from under the bed. I didn't sleep that night. The next day, I tried to work. I went outside to record the wind whipping the prayer flags. I played back my recording, wind, the snap of fabric. And underneath it, very faint, was the whispering. A long sage sound. I looked at my microphone. The dead cat was on, There was no way wind could get in like that. I checked my gear. Perfect. I recorded again. Just me and the mountain. Record, playback, wind, fabric, whispering. The first spike of panic hit, cold and sharp. I ran back to the guest house. I plugged in my headphones. I put on the original recording from the monastery. I needed to confront it. It had changed. The gravel was there. The liquid was there. But the whispering, it was clearer. And it was no longer an ancient dialect. I could understand a word. Just one, repeated between the sibilant sounds. Ah, ya. Come here. In Hindi, come here. I ripped the headphones off, threw them against the wall. I was gasping. This was an illusion. The altitude, the isolation, sleep deprivation. My rational mind clung to the explanations. I had to delete it. I plugged the F6 into my laptop. I found the file. gomake_la_rec_01.wav. I dragged it to the trash. I emptied the trash. I formatted the SD card. Gone. I sat in the silence. The room was quiet. No gravel, no whispering. Just my own heartbeat. I let out a breath. So stupid. Just a corrupted audio file. That night, I woke up suddenly. The room was pitch black. I heard pouring. I ran to the small kitchen. The faucet was off. But the sound continued. The thick, viscous glug. It was coming from the drain. I turned on my phone's flashlight. The sink was empty and dry. The sound didn't stop. It was coming from inside the pipes. I backed away, bumping the table. A small bag of decorative pebbles I'd collected fell to the floor. The small stones scattered, crunching on the wood floor. Ah-ah-ya. The whisper wasn't coming from anywhere. It was in my head. It was everywhere. It was answering the gravel. I screamed. I ran outside into the freezing night. I ran toward the faint lights of the village. I had to find someone. I banged on the door of the village elder. The old man Tenzin, the one who had warned me about the monastery, opened it. His face was a walnut of wrinkles, his eyes black and bottomless. You heard it, he said. It wasn't a question. Please, I gasped. It's in my head. The sounds. I can't stop them. He sighed, a plume of white in the cold air. He let me in, gave me a cup of salty butter tea. My hands were shaking so badly, I spilled it. You think you are the first, Sahib? He said quietly. Engineers, explorers, seekers of silence. They all go to go make law. They all find the machine. What is it? What did it record? Tenzin shook his head. It does not record. It is a posh, a trap, a prison, made by the first monks. They found something on that mountain, older than the rock. Something without a shape, something that was only sound. A living frequency. My blood turned to ice. What do you mean? It is hungry, Tenzin said, repeating the warning I had scoffed at. It feeds on attention. It feeds on consciousness. The monks could not destroy it, so they used the laws of the universe to trap it. They created a sonic loop. The gravel is its patience. The water is its erosion. The whisper is its promise. They locked it inside that machine to listen only to itself for eternity. But I trembled. I heard it. Yes. Tenzin looked at me, and for the first time, I saw pity in his eyes. The trap has a flaw. The prison needs a jailer. But what if the jailer leaves? The entity learned. It waits. It needs something new to focus on. A new mind. A new heartbeat. It's trying to get out, I whispered. The old man set his cup down. The small click sounded like a gunshot in the quiet room. No, Sahib. That is what you all misunderstand. He leaned forward, his voice now barely a whisper. It cannot leave. The frequency is bound to that place. It isn't trying to get out. It is pulling you in. I didn't understand. Pulling me in where? That tingle, he said. That relaxation, what do you call it? SMR? We call it the synchronization. It is tuning you, tuning your heartbeat to its gravel, tuning your thoughts to its whisper. It doesn't need your body here. It needs your consciousness there. To take its place. I stared at him, my throat closing. Take its place? The posh must always have a prisoner. It has been locked in there for millennia. It is tired. It needs a replacement. I shot to my feet. The chair crashed backward. No, that's superstition. It's just sound. I'm leaving. I'm going down the mountain. I'll go to Delhi. I'll listen to loud music. It will go away. Tenzin didn't get up. He just watched me with that infinite sadness. You can leave. But can you take the silence with you? You have listened. You are synchronized. The next time you hear your own heart, what will you hear, Sahib? The next time you pour water, what will you hear? I ran. I didn't say thank you or goodbye. I ran back to my room, my brain screaming nonsense, nonsense. I grabbed my things, throwing everything into my backpack. I had to leave. Now, even in the dark, I would hike down the trail. I stopped. I needed my headphones. As much as I hated them, they were my most expensive piece of gear. I saw them on the floor where I'd thrown them. I picked them up. I checked my F6. I had formatted the card. It was empty. Good. I stuffed it all in my bag. And then I heard it. The faint, soft hiss of magnetic tape. I turned. The ancient brass recorder from the monastery was on my desk. I never brought it back. I swore I hadn't. I left it at Golmikla, but it was here. Sitting on my desk, the reels slowly turning. Silently. I wasn't wearing my headphones, but I could feel it. No, I whispered. I backed away, clutching my pack. I would ignore it. I would leave. I went to the door. I put my hand on the knob. The world outside disappeared. Not that it went dark. It went silent. The wind, gone. The creak of the hinge, gone. My own ragged breath, gone. Absolute, crushing, pressurized silence. No, not absolute. I heard the gravel. In my left ear, I heard the viscous liquid. In my right, I heard the whisper. Yeah. It wasn't in my ears. It was at the base of my skull. It was inside me. I turned around. The room was blurry. The brass machine was still there, reels turning. I tried to scream. No sound came out. Just a dry, sibilant rush from my throat. A long SHHH sound. I had made the sound. A new, unspeakable horror seized me. I looked down at my hands. I was trembling. I clenched them into fists. I felt my own knuckles grind against each other. Crunch, crunch. It was the sound of the gravel. I gasped, trying to pull in air. A deep, viscous glug echoed from deep in my chest, like a thick fluid moving through a narrow space. I had become the recording. I looked at the brass machine on the desk. It was spinning, and for the first time, I heard a new sound coming from it. Very faint, very distant. A scream. It was muffled and frantic. It was in my voice, and it was trying to get out. Thanks for watching until the end. What was your favorite part? Please let me know in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to leave a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss my future content. Your support is my biggest motivation. Thank you all so much. My channel is dying. It's the cold, hard truth. Tokyo's Hidden Corners used to be a hit. Now, my view count is lower than a high school kid's instant noodle unboxing. I was out of ideas. I was desperate. And when you're desperate, you go to desperate places. For me, that place was Mido Station. Mido, the underworld. The name says it all. It's not on any main line. You have to walk through a damp tunnel behind old Shinjuku. a place even Google Maps pretends doesn't exist. The rumor is, if you missed the last train at Mido, the next one will take you somewhere you can never check out from. It was the gold mine I was looking for. I grabbed my camera, my shotgun mic, and what was left of my hope, and went there on a Tuesday night. Just as I expected, the station was empty. The air was heavy with the smell of rust and ozone. The only sounds were my own footsteps echoing on the cracked concrete and water dripping somewhere in the dark. I turned on the camera. Its dim blue light was the only thing pushing back the thick shadows. "Kaido here," I whispered into the mic. 1A Mido Station. This, according to legend, is the last stop. I walked the platform. Everything was old. Beer posters from the 90s, yellowed and peeling. And then I saw him, a station attendant. He was meticulously wiping down a ticket gate that hadn't worked in years. He was old, thin, wearing a faded, dark blue uniform. "Excuse me," I called out. He looked up slowly. His face was a map of wrinkles, but his eyes were clear, almost empty. "Is this station closed?" He looked at me, then at my camera lens. A faint, barely noticeable smile touched his lips. "The Mido station never truly closes, Kato-san. It just waits for its passengers." I flinched. He knew my name. He must have seen my channel. I hope so. "Are you the manager here?" "I am Tanaka. I take care of the place." He returned to his wiping. "The last train left an hour ago." "You should go home." "I heard," I pressed, stepping closer, "that there are stories here about people who disappeared." Tanaka stopped. The squeaking of the rag went silent. "Rumors," he said, his voice flat. "Just stories to scare children. But a word of advice. If you hear someone call your name in the women's restroom, don't answer. Especially if they compliment you." My heart hammered. This was it? Compliment me? They say she is always looking for beauty. She's jealous of it. Tanaka turned and walked into a small, dark office. "Now, go. The lighting here isn't good for your camera." I was alone again. The station fell back into silence. But his words were stuck in my head. The women's restroom. I couldn't leave. Not now. I'd come for a story. And I was going to get it. I walked toward the women's restroom. The metal door creaked as I pushed it open. It was pitch black inside. I switched on my camera's built-in light. Filthy wall tiles. Mirrors so clouded with grime, they barely reflected anything. And the smell. An overpowering chemical smell, like bleach mixed with something else. Something ... rotting. I panned the camera. "Okay, everyone, I'm in the women's. This place is disgusting." I heard crying. It was quiet, muffled, coming from the last stall. The door was closed. "Hello," I called out, my voice trembling. The crying stopped. I moved forward, slow. Camera pointed right at the door. I reached out a hand and pushed. It wasn't locked. It swung open slowly. It was empty. I let out a breath. Just my imagination. Then I saw it. Lying on the floor, next to the toilet, was a smartphone. The screen was cracked, but it was on. It was playing a video. I bent down, my camera recording the screen of the other phone. It was a selfie video. A young woman, probably a college student. Her name was Akiko. I knew because I'd read about her disappearance. In the video, Akiko was smiling, but she looked nervous. "I'm at Mido Station," she whispered. "I think I heard someone. It's so creepy, but so exciting." She panned her phone around the restroom, the exact same one I was in. And then she stopped, focused on the mirror. "Who's there?" Akiko asked. In the reflection, just over her shoulder, a blurry shape appeared. A woman, wrapped in white bandages. Only one dark eye was visible, and a mouth that was stitched crudely shut. "Oh my God," Akiko breathed in the video. The bandaged woman tilted her head. A raspy voice, like it was tearing its way out of a ruined throat, came from the phone speaker. "You're beautiful," Kakiko screamed. She dropped the phone. The screen tumbled. Then, the video angle settled on the floor. I could hear Akiko sobbing. "Please don't." And then another sound. The sound of liquid being poured. A sizzling sound. A horrific, inhuman scream ripped through the audio, long and piercing, before it was cut short by a wet gurgle. The video ended. The screen went dark. I was frozen. I was holding the evidence of Akiko's last moments. I scrambled out of that restroom, gagging on the chemical smell. I ran across the platform, not daring to look back. I didn't stop until I was out of the tunnel and breathing in the cool night air of Shinjuku. That night, I edited the footage. I uploaded it. In 12 hours, it hit 1 million views. My channel was alive. It wasn't just alive, it was exploding. The comments poured in. "Kato is a legend. This is terrifying." He found Akiko's phone, but there was one comment. From my biggest rival, Kenji, his channel, The Naked Truth, specialized in debunking people. Kenji posted a response video. "Kato is a fraud." He yelled into his camera, his face red. "An old phone? A faked video? This is pathetic. Mito Station is just an abandoned dump. There are no ghosts, only liars like Kato," he sneered. "Let me show you. Tomorrow night, I'm going to Mito Station. I'm live streaming, and I'm going to prove Kaito is a washed-up coward." I was furious, but a small part of me was also terrified for him. Fame is a drug. I needed more. My views were starting to level off after the Akiko spike. I needed something bigger. I went back to Mito Station. This time, I was there to catch the last train. Or more accurately, the train after the last train. I saw Tanaka again. He was sweeping the platform. "You're back, Kato-san," he said, not looking up. Addiction to fame is a hard one to kick. "The next train," I asked, "where does it go?" "It takes people where they deserve to go," he replied. "Like Tsubasa." Tsubasa? A salaryman. He hated his job. Hated his life. He always fell asleep on the last train home. Tanaka stopped sweeping. One night, he got on the wrong one. He was too tired to notice. He just wanted to bash his head against a wall. A train slid into the station. It was old, covered in rust. The doors hissed open. "Your train is here," Tanaka said. I stepped on. The car was empty, except for one person. A salaryman, asleep in the far corner. He was in a suit, tie loosened. He looked exhausted. My heart was pounding. Was this Tsubasa? The doors slammed shut. The train started to move. I turned on my camera, whispering, "Everyone, I'm on the train. There's another man here. He looks just like..." The man suddenly woke up. He looked at me. His eyes were bloodshot. Then he started doing it. He started banging his head against the window. Just light taps at first. Thump, thump. "Hey," I called out. "Are you okay?" He didn't stop. He hit it harder. Thump. 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 And then another voice spoke. "He's not okay." I spun around. An old man. He was sitting on the other side of the car, right behind me. How had I missed him? He was grinning. A wide, yellow-toothed grin. "He hates his job," the old man chuckled. "Hates it so much he could just die." The salaryman, Tsubasa, started slamming his head with insane force. Bam! Bam! The glass started to crack. "Stop!" I yelled. I tried to run to the next car. The door was stuck. It was locked. Bam! Bam! Blood started to fly. It spattered the window. "You hate your job too, don't you, Kato-san?" The old man asked, his voice sickeningly cheerful. "Being a vlogger is so tiring. Always chasing the next thing. Always chasing the views." The old man stood up, and he started banging his own head against the wall opposite him. Thud, Thud. Both of them. One at the window, one at the bulkhead, banging their heads in a horrifying rhythm. The lights on the train began to flicker. Off, on, off, on. On one moment of darkness, the banging stopped. When the lights came back on, they were gone. Both Tsubasa and the old man. The car was empty, just me, and the spiderweb of blood on the glass. The train stopped abruptly. The doors opened. I scrambled out. I fell onto the platform. I looked up. I was back at Mito Station. The rusty train slid backward into the darkness and vanished. I was shaking. I checked my camera. The footage, it was corrupted. Just a mess of static. Everything I'd just seen, gone. No, not entirely. In the middle of all that static, there was one single frame. Just one. It wasn't corrupted. It was a picture of the old man. He was grinning right at the lens. I posted the photo. I told the story. My channel blew up all over again. But the real hype was for something else. Kenji's live stream. It was scheduled for that night. I watched. Of course I watched. Along with 50,000 other people. The stream came online. Kenji was at Mito Station. He looked smug. "What's up, everyone? Kenji here," he shouted. As promised, I am at Mito Station. And guess what? There's nothing here. No ghost trains. No head-banging old guys. And definitely no acid-scarred girl in the bathroom. He laughed. Kato is a liar. He played you all. I clenched my fists. Kenji wandered the platform. "Man, I'm thirsty. Oh, look at this." He pointed his camera at something I had never noticed. A vending machine. It was bright red, an almost unnatural shade of red that clashed with the station's grime. "A vintage machine," Kenji said. He checked his pockets. "Damn, no change." He looked down. Ah, my lucky day. On the ground right by his foot was a single coin. It was also red. "Weird," Kenji mumbled, but he picked it up. Must be some promotional token. He fed the coin into the machine. The lights flashed. A can dropped into the slot. It was a brand of Coke I'd never seen. The label was black and red. "See?" Kenji held the can up to the camera. "Just an old machine. Now a toast to Kato's lies." He popped the top. A small fizz sound. I was watching. I saw it. Kenji didn't. For a split second, as he opened it, I saw something moving inside. Just a shadow. "Don't!" I yelled at my computer screen. Kenji put the can to his lips. He froze. He looked into the can. The smile vanished from his face. He started to shake. He tried to scream, but only a gurgle came out. And then, it happened. A sound. A sound I will never, ever forget. The sound of metal grinding bone and flesh. Kenji convulsed violently. The camera fell to the ground. But it was still recording. I heard cracking, snapping, squelching. Kenji's body. It was being twisted, compressed, as if an invisible force was crushing him from the inside. He was being dragged. He slid across the floor, toward the red vending machine, the delivery slot, the tiny slot the can had come from. It was widening. It was splitting open like a jagged metal mouth. Kenji was pulled into it, feet first. I heard his legs snap. He was screaming. A wet, muffled scream. The machine devoured him, slowly, grinding him into a pulp of meat and cloth. Blood splattered the camera lens. Finally, only his hand was left. The hand still clutching his phone. The metal mouth slammed shut. Silence. Then, a mechanical whirring sound. 3 red coins clattered into the return slot. The live stream ended. I threw up. I was violently sick all over my floor. I'd killed him. No, I hadn't, but I led him there. My arrogance, my fame. They had killed Kenji. The video was taken down. But it was too late. Everyone had seen it. I was infamous. I was the only vlogger in the world with undisputed proof of the supernatural. My channel hit 10 million subscribers. I had everything I ever wanted. And I had lost everything. The haunting began. I couldn't sleep. When I closed my eyes, I saw Kenji being crushed. I saw Tsubasa banging his head. I heard Akiko scream. They weren't at the station anymore. They had followed me home. I saw the bandaged woman in my bathroom mirror. "You're beautiful too, Kato-san," she would hiss, her voice sizzling. I saw the old man grinning at me from across the street, through my bedroom window, even though I was on the 15th floor. And the vending machine. Sometimes I'd wake up in the middle of the night. It would be standing in the corner of my room. Bright red. 3 red coins sitting in the tray, daring me to take them. I was losing my mind. Or the world was. I knew I had to go back. One last time, not for a video, not for the views, to end it. I went to Mito Station during the day. It looked almost normal. Still deserted, but at least sunlight filtered through the high windows. Tanaka was there, standing in the middle of the platform, as if he was waiting for me. "You look tired," he said. His voice wasn't flat anymore. It had a note of ... almost pity. "What are you?" I yelled, my voice breaking. "What is this place? Why are you doing this?" Tanaka walked slowly toward me. "We aren't doing anything, Kato-san. We are simply the caretakers. We provide a service." "A service?" I laughed, a wild, crazy laugh. "Murder?" "An exchange," he corrected. "A fair trade. Mito Station is a crossroads. It takes what people no longer want and gives them what they crave most." He pointed to the women's restroom. Akiko hated her face. She craved eternal beauty. We helped her fix it. Now she is beautiful forever in her pain. He gestured toward the tracks. Tsubasa hated his life. He wanted an escape. We gave him one. An endless loop of self-destruction. He motioned to where the vending machine had stood. Kenji craved an audience. He wanted to prove something. He got the performance of a lifetime. A death witnessed by 50,000 people. I stepped back. "And me? What did you give me?" "Fame," Tanaka smiled. "Views, recognition, you got it all. And now, it's time to pay, Kato-san." "I have nothing left to trade," I stammered. "Oh, but you do," he said. "You have something none of them had. You have a massive audience. And we ... We crave to be seen." Darkness began to pour from his office. It wasn't normal shadow. It was thick. It had form. "The station needs new stories," Tanaka's voice echoed, though his lips didn't move. "It needs new souls. And you will be the one to introduce them." They all appeared. Akiko, her face a sizzling, melted ruin. Tsubasa, his head twisted at an impossible angle, still banging against the air. Kenji, a crushed pulp of flesh, dragging himself across the floor, leaving a trail of blood. They surrounded me. "No," I whispered. "No, no." I heard a train. A train was sliding into the station. This one wasn't old and rusty. It was jet black, sleek, a silent modern machine. The doors slid open. Inside, it was dark, except for one thing. On a red velvet seat was my camera. It was set up on its tripod. The red rec light was blinking. Its lens was pointed right at me. "Your special has arrived," Tanaka, or whatever was wearing his skin, said. "Your audience is waiting." I looked at the lens. I looked at the waiting souls. I knew I couldn't fight. I knew I couldn't run. That addiction, the addiction to be seen, it was stronger than the fear. I stepped onto the train. The black, glossy doors slid shut behind me. Not a sound. The train began to move, accelerating into a tunnel that had no lights. I stood in front of my camera. I looked right into the lens. I knew millions would see this. My final video I smiled. I picked up the camera, turning it to face the black tunnel ahead. "Kato here," I heard myself say. "I think I just found something truly exclusive. Everyone, watch where I go next." Thanks for watching until the end. What was your favorite part? Please let me know in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to leave a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss my future content. Your support is my biggest motivation. Thank you all so much.
I stepped into the apartment and immediately felt choked. It wasn't the air. It was sound being vacuumed out, leaving behind an abnormal, ear-splitting stillness. This was the hook, a bone-deep chill that had nothing to do with the air conditioning, but everything to do with a distorted silence hanging heavy around my head. My name is Ayman bin Zelkarnin. I'm not an actor. I'm an independent documentary filmmaker searching for the next wave. I believe the most genuine horror isn't found in a script, but in the places people have abandoned. That's why I was here, in a derelict apartment block in Kuala Lumpur, in a unit nicknamed Rama Senyup, the Silent House. My goal was to shoot a short series on Malaysia's most notorious haunted locations. This was the first episode, and it needed to explode. The woman who arranged this lease for me was an elderly part-time broker, Sikamin. She simply handed over the keys, took a token payment, and offered a curt warning. "Remember, Iman, if you hear crying here, you must not open the door." The apartment was on the 12th floor. I slid the heavy metal door open. A musty stench, mixed with the faint odor of old incense, hit me immediately. The air was thick, as if decades of dust and tragedy had dissolved into it. I began setting up my static cameras. Every corner of the living room, the hallway, and the master bedroom would be recorded 24/7. I wanted to capture the emptiness. Night 1, I tried to sleep in the master bedroom. I lay on a thin mattress I'd brought with me. The lights off. The city glow bled through the windows, casting gray, distorted shapes on the walls. I heard a small clinking sound from the kitchen. Cling. I held my breath, waiting. 20 seconds. Half a minute. Nothing more. I told myself it was old structures settling. I closed my eyes. Clang. This time, the sound of metal on metal was clearer, like a spoon dropping on the floor. I shot up, grabbing my phone. I opened the camera app. The screen showed the kitchen completely empty. The spoons were still in the drawer. I knew these events had to make it into the documentary, but I wouldn't be a coward. I got up, turning on my flashlight. In the kitchen, I found a small damp streak on the old tiled floor. The water evaporated quickly, leaving no trace. I returned to bed. The sense of tension began to accumulate. This was Rumah Senyap, Night 2. I spent the day editing. I isolated the audio for the moments of silence, trying to emphasize the deadly stillness of the apartment. Around 2 a.m., I was reviewing a clip of the living room. I wore headphones to catch every detail. In the footage, there was a very faint sigh. It wasn't mine. A feminine voice, low and full of weariness. I flinched, pulling the headphones off. I looked around the dark living room. I returned to the footage, rewinding. This time, I heard an added detail, along with the sigh, a gentle, rhythmic creaking sound. Like a small swing set swaying in the wind. I rationalized it, but the excellent trailer material was secondary to the rising fear. Day 3. I decided to dig into the apartment's true history. I went to the district library. The story circulating online was a murder suit, but the old court records showed a different detail. The girl's name was Mei Lin. She died of a severe illness, abandoned in the apartment after her father went bankrupt and her mother fled. Loneliness had killed the child. A shiver went down my spine. Kamina hadn't mentioned crying. I returned with a new feeling, empathy, mixed with pity for a lost child. I decided to move a camera into the small bedroom Mei Lin's room. The room was empty, save for a circular stain on the wall. Night 3 in Mei Lin's room. I sat in the living room, reviewing the old footage. At 3:15 a.m., I heard crying. It was small, choked sobs, weak and pitiful. It was coming from the small bedroom. I remembered Sikamina's words. You must not open the door. But I am on. I am human. I couldn't leave a child crying alone. I turned off the recorder. I grabbed my flashlight and slowly moved toward the door. Sob, sob, sob. I placed my hand on the doorknob. It was icy cold. Malin, I whispered. The crying stopped instantly. The room reverted to a deathly silence. I waited. My heart was pounding. 1, 2, 3. A gentle tap came from inside the room. Baba. I want Baba. The voice was weak, breathy, yet clear, a mix of Malay and a faint Cantonese accent. I trembled. I took a step back. Uncle Aiman, I want Baba. Then came a short, echoing giggle from inside the room, a mocking, chilling sound. I turned and ran. I fled into the master bedroom, slamming the door shut. I checked the recording. No crying. No voice. Just static hiss. I wondered, was I being tricked? Day 4. I called Farah, a former colleague, a screenwriter. She arrived with a specialized digital audio recorder. This is perfect, Aiman. I can feel the despair. Farah said, eyes alight with an artist's morbid excitement. Farah cross-checked Sikamina's business card. Iman. This isn't a broker's card. This is the address of a Clinic Sakit Jiwa, a psychiatric clinic. She's the former head nurse there. What? The mailing case didn't happen here. This apartment, this is where the mother was apprehended after she fled the scene. She was treated at that clinic. I felt my entire narrative crumble. We were in the house of guilt, not the house of spirits. Night for the truth made the air thicker. Farah and I were both awake. At 4 a.m., a lullaby began to play. Very clear. A female voice. It was coming from the hallway. Lalay o lale. Tidurlah, anakku. Tidurlah, hashabay. My child. Sleep now. It was sick. Amina's voice. Farah and I looked at each other. Her face was pale. She's here, Farah whispered. We slowly opened the door. The hallway was pitch black. Lalay o lale. The singing moved closer. Farah immediately reached for the digital recorder. We need proof, Iman. Otherwise, no one will believe us. She ran to the living room. I followed. When I reached her, Farah was frozen, staring at the recorder on the table. Farah, it's not Sikamina. Iman. She held out the machine. The recorder was running, but the sound coming out wasn't the lullaby. It was a rough, distorted growl, almost inhuman, interspersed with a sound of dry, clacking bones. And she's gone, Farah said, pointing to the main door. It was still locked. No, she's still here. I said. I felt a sudden draft of cold air wrapping around my neck. I turned back to look at Farah. She smiled. She didn't want us to believe in spirits. We should believe in the living. Farah, what are you talking about? She pointed to the old TV. The screen reflected my face, and on my shoulder, I saw a hand. A thin, severely scarred hand. I screamed. I spun around. Standing behind me was not Farah. It was Sikamina. She stood there with a wide, grotesque grin. My son, you opened the door. I told you not to open it. Primera bakid Hawaii Farah was gone. The audio recorder remained. You are not sick, Amina. I stammered. I am the mother, she said. I was trapped here. This apartment held me. She stepped closer. Her eyes were bloodshot, and her breath smelled foul. Maylin didn't die of illness. She died because of me. I did it. I just wanted silence. She stretched her scarred hand toward me. My son. My son. You opened the door. Now you must take my place. I ran into the bedroom, grabbing my gear. I ran to the main door. I unlocked the door. I looked down the dark hallway. Just then, I heard the real sick Amina's voice. Ayman, you must be rational. It's tricking you. A voice resonated from Farah's recorder on the table. Prometto locked back. The mother was 5 steps away, still smiling. Don't listen to her. She's a nurse. She always lies. She is Farah, I screamed, pointing at the mother. No, Ayman! A sudden, sharp pain erupted in my shoulder. I touched the spot. Blood. I looked back at the door. Sikamina was grabbing my shoulder. Run, Ima, run. I'll hold her back. The living room was empty. Only me, with the bleeding wound on my shoulder. The twist. I looked at the wound. It wasn't a cut. It was a bruise from being squeezed. A strangulation mark. I stared at the recorder. It automatically replayed the final segment. My son. My son. You opened the door. Now you must take my place. I understood. I wasn't being haunted. I was possessed by my own narrative. The woman was the mother's split personality. Sikamina was the nurse who tried to save her. Farah was the screenwriter creating the story of Mei Lin. And Iman was the one who had to reenact the entire tragedy, trapped between reality and myth. I ran out of the apartment. I ran down the dark stairwell. I ran. The end. I returned to my own home. I deleted all the footage except one clip. It was the scene of me sleeping, just before the first clinking sound. In the frame, the small bedroom door was ajar, and I saw Farah, my colleague, my screenwriter, standing there, holding a swinging rope. She wasn't looking at me. She was looking into the camera, giving a pitying smile. No, it's not her. It's me. I looked down at my shoulder. The strangulation mark had turned into a long scratch. I raised the camera. The screen reflected my face, and I saw myself smiling. Lale o lale, taderla anaku. Taderla I started to sing the lullaby. My voice was low and weary. The silent house is not the house of spirits. It is the place where love and guilt were left behind. And Iman had become the father who had to end his own life while the mother tried to save me. Iman the mother. Iman. I am the father. I am the child. I picked up the rope. I walked into the room. The final sound was the camera being knocked over, followed by the gentle, rhythmic creaking of a small swing set. And then, absolute silence. Thanks for watching until the end. What was your favorite part? Please let me know in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to leave a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss my future content. Your support is my biggest motivation. Thank you all so much. That Friday night, the door to my dorm room, 407, suddenly sounded a light, resolute knock. The hook was set. It wasn't a normal knock. It was the dry, flat impact of a heavy object, like a rubber mallet hitting oak. It created a perfect rhythm too quick. One slow that never repeated. I.e., Elias Thorne was sitting in the middle of the darkroom, my phone screen, the only light source, feeling a chill run down my spine. It was 4 in the morning. Riverside University dorms should have been silent, with only the soft hum of the central AC. But that knock shattered every rule. Who is it? My voice was hoarse, not quite my own. There was no answer, only silence. The room felt like a soundproof chamber. I took a deep breath. The scent of musty air and old dust from the worn leather chair clung to my lungs. I remembered the rules. My criminology thesis had trained my memory for detail, and I recalled every word of the strange message sent to the dorm group chat just an hour earlier. It came from the account of Mrs. Miller, the strict resident advisor. Absolutely do not open the door. Check the clock. Check the chat. Do not trust familiar voices. Below it, an anonymous account named The Skinwalker had pinned another message with detailed rules for the game. My heart pounded against my ribs. I stood up, my bare feet hitting the cold wooden floor. I walked slowly to the room's ventilation grate and pressed my ear against it. I heard a sound, a soft, light noise, like leather shoes shuffling on the hall carpet. But it wasn't the steady rhythm of footsteps. It was stopping, slowing, tension. Someone, or something, was moving slowly in the fourth-floor hallway. I picked up my phone. Opening the chat app, the fourth-floor group was in chaos. Liam from 403 wrote, "Guys, it just knocked on my door." It sounded like Dean, my roommate, saying he lost his key. Zoe from 405 immediately replied, "Liam, Dean is home. He just posted a picture of his feet on Instagram. Don't open the door. I hear a child crying at my door." A heavy sigh came from outside my door. It was long, deep, as if the person had held their breath for too long. I immediately video called Dean, who was home for the holiday break. His face, groggy and hair messy, appeared on the screen. "Yo, Elias, what's up? Why aren't you sleeping?" "Dean, did you just text Liam? Are you in the dorm?" My voice was almost a shout, but I tried to suppress it. Dean frowned it, rubbing his eyes. "No, I'm at my grandma's house." "What are you talking about? Is your dorm okay?" "Thanks, Dean." Hang up, and remember not to call me back. A terrible feeling washed over me. If Dean was real, if Zoe and Liam were real, then what was outside the door was bop, bop, bop. The knocking returned. Bah! This time it was different. It was violent. No longer a rubber mallet. It was the sound of a doorknob being twisted violently. Metal scraping metal. And then a voice. A voice I couldn't mistake. "Elias, it's Dean. Open the door for me. Please." "I'm sorry," I lied. I came back. "Someone's out there. Someone is walking in the hall. It's not a person." Dean's voice was shaking, full of panic. "Dean, if you're the real Dean, tell me." I took a breath. "Something only we know. What color was the necklace I gave my sister?" There was a sharp intake of breath outside the door. A terrible moment of silence. It was turquoise. "Open the door, Elias. I'm going to die." "It's coming." My heart dropped. That was true. Sarah's necklace was turquoise. No one knew that. I reached for the lock. My hands were trembling. Boom. A loud, terrifying sound. It didn't come from my door, but from room 403. The sound of splintering wood, of tearing metal. Tina screamer. Short, abruptly cut off scream. I crouched down, looking through the gap beneath the door. I saw Dean's familiar sneakers, but they were turned away from my door, facing the opposite direction. Meanwhile, its terrifyingly long, thin shadow was cast into the crack of my door, as if the physical body and the shadow were in two different places. I recoiled in horror. "Elias, hurry." I answered you. "It's Dean. I know about Sarah. That name. The forbidden name." Dean never mentioned Sarah. I looked at Mrs. Miller's message again. "Do not trust familiar voices." And then my phone lit up. A new message from Zoe. "Elias, don't open. The imposter knows about Sarah. It knows everything." I heard it whisper through my door. How could Zoe hear something through my door? At that moment, another message appeared from Liam's account just seconds after the scream. "I'm fine. It's Dean. I opened the door for him. He's here. Safe. You should open it for him too." "Elias." All my logic collapsed. "No," I shouted. "You're not Dean." Dean hates turquoise. He always mocked it for being the color of baby food. Silence enveloped the hall. This time, it was a deadly silence. And then, the voice, still Dean's voice, but now with a horrible, crackling sound at the end of every word. Elias, I watched you. Baby food. You win. You saved Dean. I heard footsteps outside. Stop. But you failed, Sarah. A second voice sounded. One I couldn't place. Open the door, Elias. It's time for her to come home. I trembled and backed away. I looked at my phone. Liam's message was gone. Zoe's message disappeared. Only Mrs. Miller's message remained. Your suspicion is bait for others. I was so focused on whether Dean was fake that I didn't realize Zoe's warning and Liam's confirmation were the bait itself. They knew I would call Dean. They created a small flaw for me to think I had one, but their real goal wasn't to trick me into opening the door. It was to force me to close the door of trust on my friends. You succeeded. My voice was cold. Everyone is gone. The crackling voice laughed. Almost Dean is the last one left. He's hiding in Liam's bathroom. He won't open the door. He still has faith, and he knows you won't let him down. My door rattled violently, not from a knock, but from something pounding on the back of it. Dean won't open the door. I said, he doesn't trust anyone anymore. I looked in the mirror. My face was pale, but my eyes were burning. I recognized the game's metaphor. Sarah, my sister, died because I couldn't face the blizzard and ran away. I abandoned her. Now, I betrayed Dean. The voice outside softened, but grew more terrifying. Ah, Elias. That's why you're the last one, because you've learned to betray trust. I heard another sound, a wet noise, as if a heavy object was being dragged across the floor outside the door. Dean will be tortured until you open the door. The imposter said, he will pay for your suspicion. I let out a dry, hollow laugh. No. I closed my eyes. I calculated. The Skinwalker's rule says, those who fail the standard will be punished. I opened my phone, launching the calculator app. I typed 407. A sharp, throbbing pain shot across my temple. I squeezed my eyes shut, trying to breathe. When I opened my eyes, I realized the room was no longer dark. The sickly yellow light from a desk lamp I didn't remember turning on was shining into my eyes. The musty odor was gone, replaced by the smell of cold disinfectant and metal. When did I turn on the light? Or did I lock myself away during the crisis? What did Dean do wrong? Elias? I heard the voice from the hallway as if it were right next to me. Dean called me. I said, resolutely. He broke the rule about no phone contact. Liam texted after being compromised. Zoe broke all the distance rules. All of them are disqualified. I took a breath, swallowing. But I'm different. I didn't open the door. I didn't trust. I followed the rules. I am the only one left. The voice outside became angry, losing control. You can't win. You have to open the door. No. I was calm. It's 10 in the morning now. Mrs. Miller's office hours. She'll come check. She see the truth. I looked at the chat screen. Mrs. Miller's message was gone. Only the rule remained. Mr. Smiller gave the warning. The imposter gave the rules. You chose. Right then, I heard a piercing, simulated fire alarm sound echoing from the hallway. It was an unnecessary, excessive distraction. I covered my ears. The alarm lasted 5 seconds, then stopped. Then came absolute silence. And then another sound. This time, it came from inside my room. A soft click. I slowly turned my head, not believing my eyes. My secondary deadbolt, the one I had locked from the inside, had been undone. Just then, a gentle, familiar voice whispered from behind me. Big brother, you were right. You should never open the door. It was Sarah's voice, Ispun Haron. Standing there wasn't Dean or Liam. It was Sarah, my little sister, holding the turquoise necklace, but her eyes were vacant, soulless, and she was wearing a jacket belonging to Mrs. Miller. The skinwalker doesn't imitate strangers. It imitates the rules themselves, she said. You didn't know what Mrs. Miller said before she died. She handed me Mrs. Miller's phone. The screen showed an unsent draft message. Mrs. Miller, Dean has been attacked. You must open the door for him. Otherwise, you will be taken. I had misread it. Always misread it. I believed my own fear. I abandoned Dean, the only person who knew and accepted my guilt. Sarah reached out her hand. The cold, icy smell of the blizzard filled the room. You betrayed trust once, Eliath, she said, her voice echoing throughout the room, and you chose to repeat it. You chose the false safety of isolation over the painful truth of loyalty. Your failure wasn't opening the door, it was that you couldn't connect with anyone. She was the punishment. You won this game! Sarah laughed, a hollow sound. But you lost everyone. You will stay here forever. She reached out, gently closing the door. I heard the click of the deadbolt locking, not from outside, but from inside. I ran to the door, pounding on it. Open, open, Sarah. There was no sound from the hall, only Sarah's cold, crackling laugh. You can't get out, Elias, she said. And no one can get in. You won! You are the only one qualified to survive. I turned back, looking at the empty room. Darkness was swallowing everything. I knelt on the floor. The smell of disinfectant and metal grew stronger. I heard a sound, a low hum, the hum of the AC. But this time, it sounded like hundreds of voices whispering. They said, one thing. You are the imposter. I looked down at my hand. My hand was still trembling, but this time, it wasn't from fear. It was from euphoria. I was the last one. I had one. I will stay here, in room 407. I will stay here until a new knock comes, at 4 in the morning, and I will never, ever open the door. Thanks for watching until the end. What was your favorite part? Please let me know in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to leave a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss my future content. Your support is my biggest motivation. Thank you all so much. The only thing worse than a nightmare is a nightmare remade. A nightmare that knows your fears, that knows how to adjust its pacing, and knows exactly when to add a new detail to crush your last bit of sanity. We arrived at the hillside villa in Korg just as the monsoon began, not the romantic drizzles of Mumbai. This was a relentless downpour, a gray wall that blurred the sky and earth into one. The house, called Dewdrop, was a colonial relic, built of stone and dark tick, and it always felt damp. We needed this place. Me, Rohan, an architect who no longer designed, and my wife, Priya, a pianist who no longer played. We were here to remake our lives, to glue back the pieces after the day our daughter and I slipped by the bank of the Shipra River. The smell of the house was the first thing that hit me. Not the smell of new paint or polished wood. It smelled of mildew, of rotting leaves, and something sickly sweet. Jasmine, perhaps, but dead jasmine crushed into mud. Priya, wrapped in a pashmina shawl despite the lack of chill, just gave a weak smile. It has character, Rohan. I wanted to believe her. The first few days passed in a heavy silence. The only sounds were the drumming rain on the tile roof and the whir of the old ceiling fan. Priya spent most of her time sleeping, thanks to the small blue pills her doctor had prescribed. I wandered the rooms, trying to sketch, but the walls seemed to be closing in. The first anomaly happened on the fourth day. I was clearing out the old study, a small room overlooking the overgrown garden. When I found it, tucked behind a rosewood bookshelf, was a small rag doll. It was simply just 2 buttons for eyes, but it was wet. Soaking wet, as if it had just been dipped in water. I threw it out into the garden. I didn't want Priya to see it. Anything related to children was a landmine. That night, I heard the sound. Footsteps? Not the heavy tread of an adult. This was a wet, slapping sound. Light, quick pat. Pat, pat. In the marble hallway right outside our bedroom. I held my breath. Priya was breathing evenly beside me, lost in her artificial sleep. Pat, pat, pat. It stopped right in front of our door. A long, heavy silence. I could smell it. The smell of mud. Thick, acrid river mud. I sprang from the bed, yanking the door open. The hallway was empty. Nothing. Just thick darkness and the roar of the rain. But when I looked down, my heart stopped. On the stone floor, right where the sound had ceased, was a small, murky puddle. And in the puddle were tiny footprints. Muddy footprints. I cleaned it up. I told myself it was a leak, an animal, anything but the truth. But the house wouldn't let me be. It began to remake my fear. The next day, the swing on the back porch was moving on its own. It creaked in a familiar rhythm. A rhythm Anaya used to hum too. Squeak thud, squeak thud. But there was no wind. Absolutely no wind. Priya, for the first time in days, came out of the room. She stood at the door, air-face, pale. "Rohan," she whispered, "make it stop." I ran out and gripped the ropes, the swing foot against my hands, as if an invisible weight was resisting before it abruptly went still. That evening Priya didn't take her pills. "I want to be awake," she said, her eyes fixed on the dark corner of the room. I feel it watching. He felt it too. The air was thick, as if we were in a fishbowl and something enormous was staring in. The slapping sound returned at 3 in the morning. Pat, pat, pat. This time, Priya heard it too. She gripped my hand, her nails digging into my skin. "What is that?" "Just the rain." "Love," I lied, but the words sounded hollow. Pat, 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 closer, right outside the door. Then, a new sound. A giggle. No? It wasn't a giggle. It was a gurgle, a wet, choking sound, as if someone was trying to laugh while drowning. I screamed. I couldn't help it. I lunged for the door, but before I touched the handle, something slammed against it from the other side. Thud, a heavy, wet impact. Then again. Thud, don't open it. Priya begged from the bed, her voice cracking. "Please, Rohan, don't." I stood frozen, cold sweat pouring down my back. The thick tick door vibrated. Thud, thud. The smell of river mud was so strong it gagged me. And then it stopped. The silence was worse than the noise. I pressed my ear to the door. Nothing. Just the rain. I slowly turned the handle. "No!" Priya screamed. I opened the door. The hallway was empty. Cold. But the muddy puddle was larger, and this time there was something in it. The ragdoll? The same one I had thrown away. It was lying on its back, its two button eyes staring at the ceiling. It was soaking wet. I stumbled back, slamming the door. I locked it. I dragged the linen chest in front of it. "We have to go," I panted. "Right now, we can't," Priya said, her voice terrifyingly calm. "Don't you see? The rain is too heavy. The road is flooded." I looked out the window. She was right. The water had risen, turning the garden into a brown lake. We were trapped. The house seemed to know it. It started to be cruel. It started to use Anaya. The next day, we heard the piano. Priya bolted down the stairs. The old piano in the living room, the one she had refused to touch, was playing itself. It wasn't playing a full tune, just repeated notes. The lullaby, Shandamama, that Priya used to sing to an plank, 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 plank. The keys depressed on their own, coated in a thin layer of mud. That's when Priya broke. She slumped to the floor, holding her head, and began to cry, not sobbing. It was a desolate wail of absolute despair. I tried to pull her away, but she wouldn't move. It wants us to know, she choked out. It wants us to know how it took her. A chill ran down my spine. Priya, what are you talking about? Anaya. It was an accident. Priya looked up at me, her eyes red and wild. No, I was there. I saw it. I didn't tell you. Tell me what? It wasn't an accident, she whispered, trembling. She was playing by the river. She dropped her paper boat when she bent to get it. I saw it. Just for a second, something was in the water. My head swam. You're lying. You were in shock. It had hands. Small. Priya continued, not hearing me. It pulled her under. It pulled her down. Rohana tried, but it was so fast. I just stood there and watched. I saw the mud bubble. Everything in me shattered. The lie we had built together, the thin wall protecting us from the truth, was destroyed. And right at that moment, as if on cue, the piano stopped. The house fell silent. A waiting silence. It knows, we know, I said. It's not Anaya, Priya said, getting to her feet. Her expression had changed. The fear was gone, replaced by a terrifying emptiness. Anaya is gone. This is just a remake. That's when I realized. The doll. The footsteps. The lullaby. They weren't our memories. They were a script, a play being reenacted. Who was here before us, Priya? Does it matter? We're just the newest cast. That night, the storm peaked. The wind shrieked through the crevices like a mourning soul. And the sounds began. It wasn't pat-pat anymore. Now, it was a drag, a heavy, wet scraping, as if someone was pulling a sodden sack across the hall. Shuff, shuff, it didn't stop at the door. It kept going towards the stairs. Going down, we were in the living room, both of us standing, afraid to breathe. The scraping stopped at the bottom of the stairs. Shuff. The silence stretched for a minute. 2. Daddy, a voice came from the darkness of the stairwell. A small voice, but not Anaya's. It was Arce. Its throat was full of mud. Priya muffled her mouth, a strangled moan, escaping. Daddy's not here! I tried to shout, but my voice was just a dry whisper. The wet gurgle came again. Not a laugh this time. It was rage. A shadow detached itself from the darkness at the foot of the stairs. It was small as a 6-year-old. But it didn't walk. It scuttled. It moved on all fours, but wrong. Like a crab, its back was arched towards us. The smell of mud was suffocating. What does it want? I whispered, backing away, pulling Priya with me. It wants to finish, Priya breathed, her eyes locked on the shadow. The play, it needs an ending. The shadow began to move towards us, a horrible, skittering motion on the stone floor. We backed into the wall. Nowhere else to go. Mommy? The shadow lifted its head. In the dim light of the storm, I could see. It wasn't a face. It was just a matted mass of wet hair, caked with mud and rotten leaves. But underneath the hair, where eyes should have been, were 2 buttons. Shiny. Staring. I realized the doll wasn't a toy. It was a portrait. Mummy! It hissed again, the sound tearing the night. It lunged for Priya. I did what any husband would do. I shoved Priya behind me and stood in its path. I closed my eyes, bracing for the impact, for the cold, for the pain. Nothing happened. I opened my eyes. The shadow had stopped inches from me. It was looking at me. Its head was tilted, the gurgling sound echoing. Primer looked down. My hand! I was clutching something. I didn't know I had picked it up. It was cold and wet. It was the rag doll. Primera de Capitaliano. I hadn't thrown it away the second time. I had hidden it in my jacket pocket. The shadow reached out a thin, mud-caked arm towards the doll. Its fingers were long and broken. It doesn't want us. I realized a cold deeper than the rain running down my spine. It wants this. I looked at Priya. She was staring at me, her face a mask of absolute horror, but not horror of the shadow. Of me, Rohan, she whispered. How long have you been here? What? We just arrived. 4 days. No! Her voice broke. You lied to me. You said this was the first time. My head began to hurt. The walls seemed to be warping. You found this house, Priya cried. You said it was perfect. You said it would help us remake just like the last time. And the time before. The rain seemed to fade. The shadows gurgling seemed to fade. The only thing I could hear was the blood rushing in my ears. I don't know what you're talking about. I lied. The doll. Priya pointed at my hand. You always find it. You always say you'll throw it away. But you never do. The shadow was still there, its arm outstretched. Waiting, I looked down at the doll in my hand, and I realized I remembered. I am not Rohan, the architect. I am not here to heal. Priya is not here with me. Priya is dead. Priya died years ago. She couldn't bear it after Anaya was gone. She followed our daughter into that Kashipra river. I am the only one left. I am the one who comes back to this house. Every monsoon, I am the one who brings the doll. I am the one who remakes this play over and over, hoping for a different ending, hoping that this time I can save them. The shadow in front of me is not a monster. It is me. It is my grief. It is the emptiness that Priya and Anaya left. It is the cold, the mud, the loss. It held out its other hand. Daddy. It whispered in my own voice. I looked into its eyeless face. I was no longer afraid. Just endlessly tired. I let the doll fall. The shadow picked it up, clutching it to its wet, gurgling chest. It looked up at me. The two button eyes shined. I sank to my knees. The floor was cold and wet, covered in mud. I reached out my hand. Daughter, I whispered. The shadow moved. It didn't lunge it. Imbra said me. The cold rushed in, a deep, river-bottom cold. The smell of dead jasmine was overwhelming. I heard Priya singing, the Chanda Mama lullaby. I closed my eyes. The nightmare was over. The play was finally finished. Or perhaps it was just beginning again. This time, I had a new role. Thanks for watching until the end. What was your favorite part? Please let me know in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to leave a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss my future content. Your support is my biggest motivation. Thank you all so much.
My name is Evelyn. Our house wasn't like other houses. It always had a distinct smell. The sharp, clean scent of antiseptic, always lingering in the air, trying to cover up something older. A sadness embedded deep in the carpets. And it had a sound. The steady, mechanical click of a tape recorder. My father, Arthur, always carried it with him. A small, old, black machine. He gripped it as if it were the only anchor holding him to reality. My father used to be a veterinarian, a respected man. His hands were once steady, having saved so many lives. Now, those hands trembled, only steady enough to press record and play. 17 years ago, a car accident stole his memory. The doctors diagnosed it as dementia, a cold, clinical term that couldn't describe the emptiness I saw every day. His mind was like a silk curtain blown by the wind, leaving behind chaotic, torn fragments. He would stare out the window for hours on end, his eyes distant, as if searching for a path he had forgotten the entrance to. I was his caregiver. I was his daughter. I was his calendar, his external hard drive. 3 times a week, I took him to a writing class at the community center. I hoped that arranging words could help him rearrange his mind, that ink and paper could hold on to what was slipping away. But what he wrote, it scared me. He didn't write about our old dog or about the garden. He wrote about darkness. He wrote about purification. Short, fragmented poems, steeped in a heavy sadness I could never understand. The cold earth embraces the sin he had written last week. I told him it was profound. I lied. I found it deeply disturbing. One afternoon, I was folding laundry in the living room. Weak sunlight streamed through the window, highlighting motes of dust in the air. The TV was on an afternoon news report. I wasn't really listening until the anchor's voice turned serious. A horrific murder, she said. The victim was found, brutally murdered. I turned around, and Dad was standing right behind me. His breathing was heavy. His eyes were glued to the screen. They were showing the crime scene, blurred out. His face was pale, white as a sheet. He wasn't just watching. He was absorbing it. He suddenly turned, rushing. He almost ran into the storage room behind the kitchen, where we kept old things. I heard rummaging, the sound of cardboard boxes being thrown around. He came out, holding a pair of old white sneakers. His running shoes from years ago. He turned them over, his trembling hands inspecting the soles. He rubbed his thumb into the rubber grooves. Only when he saw they were completely clean, not a speck of dirt, did his breathing even out. He looked at me, his eyes lost, frightened. "Where are you going, Evelyn?" It was a question, but it sounded like an accusation. I picked up my handbag, trying to keep my voice calm. "I'm going to meet a friend, Dad. Just for a little while." I stepped forward, kissing his stubbled cheek. "That can't happen every day," I reassured him, though I wasn't sure what he was talking about, and how could I run into it. I walked out of the house. The click of the tape recorder started up again behind me. I left him standing there, alone with the anxiety welling up in his cloudy eyes. That night, I met Daniel, the coffee shop on the corner of Main Street, the place with warm yellow lights and the rich smell of roasted coffee beans. The hiss of the espresso machine was like a soothing soundtrack. I was sitting alone, trying to read a book, but my mind kept going back to Dad's white shoes. Then he sat down across from me. "Is that book any good?" he asked. I looked up, and I thought my heart skipped a beat. He was handsome. No, that wasn't the right word. He had a look that made you trust him. Warm brown eyes, and a smile, a radiant smile that banished all shadows. He was Daniel. He was a police officer. We talked. We talked for hours. The noise of the coffee shop faded away. I told him about my father. I told him about the dementia, the writing class, the burden I carried. I expected pity or awkwardness. Instead, he listened. He truly listened. He said he knew my father. He had seen him around town a few times. He was so sympathetic. "You're so strong, Evelyn," he said, and the way he said it, I believed him. My heart, a young, lonely heart that hadn't weathered many storms. It fluttered, it opened its doors to him. For the first time in years, I felt light. I felt hopeful. But when I brought that hope home, reality slapped me in the face. Dad's condition was getting worse. He was struggling with his old laptop. He growled, slamming his hand on the keyboard. "This damned password," he muttered. "Arthur. No. Evelyn. No." He repeated it over and over. a decisiveness in each keystroke that I hadn't seen from him in years. He was searching. He was digging. When he came out, the room seemed to darken. His eyes were no longer cloudy. They were sharp. They held a coldness I had never seen. "It's him," he said, his voice hoarse. "Who? Dad?" "Daniel." The name came from his lips like a curse. I laughed, a nervous, sharp laugh. "What are you talking about? I was just with him. He's a murderer." He cut me off. I saw it on the computer, the murders, the locations. He was there. I know it. He started saying bizarre things about blood on the road, about a white sedan he said he'd seen near the scenes. "Dad," I said, my voice starting to tremble with frustration. "That's your imagination. It's the disease. Daniel is a cop. He's a good person. He helps people." "He's fooling you," he roared. "He's fooling everyone. I know a predator's eyes when I see them." I couldn't take it anymore. "You don't understand," I shouted. "You're ruining the only good thing that's happened to me." I ran to my room, slamming the door. His knocking, the click of the recorder. I ignored it all. Things escalated the next night. I was helping him get ready for bed. He seemed more confused than usual. "Who are you?" he asked, squinting at me. "It's me, Evelyn, Dad." He shook his head. No, you're one of them." Suddenly, he grabbed me. His strength was shocking. The hands that used to heal animals were now wrapped around my throat. His eyes rolled back, wild. He didn't recognize me. He was looking through me, seeing some ghost from his own bloody past. "Dad," I tried to choke out. "Please." I couldn't breathe. The air was cut off. Just as I thought I would pass out, he suddenly let go. The madness vanished. Recognition returned. Sheer horror flooded his face when he saw the red marks on my neck. "Evelyn," he sobbed. "Oh God, what have I done?" He hugged me frantically, tears streaming, his body trembling. I thought it was the disease. A horrific symptom of a brain that was destroying itself. But my father didn't. The shock seemed to have clarified something in him. The next day, he gave his old friend, Detective Miller, a small swab. A swab carefully wrapped in a plastic bag. It was stained with something dark, reddish-brown, human blood. My father insisted to Miller. "I found it on the rear bumper of Daniel's car." He tried to wash it off, but he missed a spot. Miller looked at my father with pity, but he took it. "I'll run it, Arthur." 2 days later, the test results came back. Animal blood, just deer blood. Daniel had probably hit a deer. Disappointment extinguished the last light in my father's eyes. He sat in the living room, not looking out the window, not holding his recorder. He just stared at his hands. "Maybe," he whispered as I brought him his tea. "Maybe it is me. Maybe I'm the monster." My heart broke. Daniel was right. The disease was making my father believe he was someone else. Then he said he needed to take me to the convent upstate to visit his sister. "My Aunt Sarah, I need her to look after you for a while," he said, his voice flat. "I don't want to hurt you. I'm not safe." I protested. I cried. "I'm not leaving you." But he was adamant. He packed a small bag for me. The drive was silent, just the sound of the engine. I stared out the window, feeling betrayed. Then, a powerful impact from behind. The sound of metal twisting. I screamed. Our car spun out. My father slammed on the brakes. My heart hammered in my chest. I looked back. A white sedan. The door opened. Daniel got out, hands raised, a worried look on his face. Oh my God. Evelyn, Mr. Arthur, are you two okay? He ran to my window. It was just a small accident, he explained. I didn't see your brake lights. It was settled quickly. No one was hurt but my father. He wasn't calm. He got out of the car. He stared straight at Daniel. His voice was ice cold, without a tremor. Stay away from my daughter. Daniel blinked, that polite smile still on his lips. Sir, I don't understand. I know who you are, my father hissed. Daniel just smiled. But this time, the smile didn't reach his eyes. We're in love, sir. That event pushed my father to the edge. He decided to act. That night, I saw him in his old study, where he used to keep his veterinary supplies. He took out a syringe. He drew a clear liquid from a small vial. Poison, the kind he used to euthanize large animals in incurable pain. He hid it in his jacket. He said he was going for a walk. I believed him. He followed Daniel home. He waited in the shadows. When Daniel got out of his car, my father approached, but as he stood facing Daniel, under the dim orange glow of the street light, his mind betrayed him again. The fog returned, thicker than ever. He looked at the syringe in his hand. He forgot what he was there for. Confusion washed over his face. Daniel, noticing this, smiled. A smile full of fake concern. Mr. Arthur, are you lost? Let me take you home. Daniel, with that smile, drove my father back to our house. He even pretended to be concerned. He talked to me about a wedding, about our future, and I, the pitiful fool, was filled with happiness. I thought everything was finally going to be okay. Everything shattered on Tuesday. I was going to surprise Daniel. I drove to his apartment after work, bringing dinner. As I walked down the hall, I heard his voice. He was on the phone. The door was ajar. I was about to knock, but what I heard froze me in place. That voice. It was Daniel, but it wasn't the Daniel I knew. This voice was cold, cruel, and full of mockery. No, he said, the old man is completely harmless. His memory is shot. The best part is, he thinks he's the killer. A pause. A dry chuckle. The swab. Easy. Just a little dear blood from that accident last week. The cops here are so stupid. They believe everything I say, dear blood. The accident. My heart stopped. Evelyn. She's so in love with me. She'll believe anything I tell her. The plan is perfect. I'll pin everything on this sick old man. By then, he'll be ready to confess to anything. The dinner fell from my hands. The crash of the dishes echoed in the hallway. The door flew open. Daniel stood there. The smile was gone. The coldness was in his eyes. Evelyn, he started. I didn't wait to hear more. I turned and ran. I ran like I had never run before. I threw myself into my car, the tires screeching as I sped away. I had to get home. I had to get to Dad. I called Detective Miller. Get to my house, I screamed into the phone. Now, it's Daniel. It's him. Him. I burst through the front door. The scene before me made me choke. My father was tied to his favorite armchair. Daniel was standing there, casually holding Dad's black tape recorder. He was playing it. My father's fragmented voice filled the room. I killed them. I purified them. Daniel smiled when he saw me. "Hello, sweetheart," he said. "You're just in time. Your father and I were just reminiscing." He held up the recorder. Interesting stuff. He confessed to everything and the computer password. Evelyn's birthday. How sweet. He stepped toward me, brushing my hair. I recoiled. "Who am I now?" "Evelyn," he whispered, his voice mocking. "Daniel the killer, or the boyfriend of a killer's daughter." In that moment of desperation, my father roared. It wasn't the sound of a sick man. It was a primal sound, a sound of pure rage. The ropes strained, the final deception, the final cruelty. It had shattered the fog in his mind. He lunged up, the chair still attached to his back. A frantic struggle erupted. Daniel was younger, stronger. He punched my father, but my father, fueled by adrenaline and love, fought back. He fought with the strength of a father protecting his child. He grabbed the heavy brass table lamp, the sound of it breaking as he smashed it against Daniel. I dove in to help him. I scratched. I bit. We struggled. And finally, we pushed him. He fell backward into the basement doorway. My father, with one last surge of incredible strength, slammed the door shut. The bolt sliding home was the loudest sound I'd ever heard. Daniel's pounding and screaming echoed from below. When the police arrived, led by Detective Miller, it was over. Daniel was arrested. He screamed, cursing as they handcuffed him. My father stood there, panting, exhausted, covered in bruises. But his eyes, for the first time in 17 years, they were completely clear. The fog was gone. The memories were back. And with them, the truth. He confessed everything. He told me about his painful past, about his abusive father, about his father's death, which was no accident, about the later murders, the people he deemed unclean, the ones he called his purification. He told me the truth about my mother. She wasn't one of his victims, as I had always feared. She had left, and me. I was his biological daughter, the dementia. It turned out it wasn't from the accident. The accident was just the final straw. The illness was a defense mechanism, a way for his mind to bury the guilt, to deny the monster within. Daniel was convicted. Multiple life sentences. My father, due to his complex mental state and his full cooperation in exposing Daniel, received a suspended sentence, but with mandatory treatment. We moved to a small coastal town, a quiet place. We started a new life. My father never fully recovered. The fragments of memory still came and went, but he found peace in his writing. The tape recorder was now in a drawer. He wrote by hand. His stories were no longer obsessions with death. They were about redemption, about a father's love for his daughter and me. I learned that the past can be forgotten, but it never truly disappears. It's always there, just beneath the surface. And sometimes, even in the deepest darkness, in the shattered mind of a broken man, love can still find a way. It can still fight. It can still lead you back to the light.
The Mumbai air that night had lost its familiar scent of exhaust and burning trash. It was a suffocating chaos. The sweet tang of festival gunpowder mixed with a sickening stench of burnt human flesh. Here, in this Malabar Hill penthouse, normally blazing with Diwali lights, there was only darkness. slashed by the red and blue strobes of police cars below. Inspector Vikram Rao, my mentor, crunched past me on broken glass, his silence heavier than any words. The smell of death in the room said everything that needed to be said. We found Rohan Kapoor first. Well, found is too gentle a word. He was slumped in an expensive leather armchair, charred black, bound by a scorched rope. A powerful politician, destined to inherit a dynasty, now just a pile of ash. The fire had started with him, licked the ceiling, and then choked itself out. But Vikram barely glanced at him. His eyes were locked on the thick tick door to the prayer room, the only part of the apartment untouched by the flames. I pushed it open. The smell of incense hit me, but it was immediately overpowered by something much colder. There, suspended in midair, was Zara Khanna, the retired Bollywood legend and Rohan's seemingly perfect wife. A crimson silk cord was wrapped tightly around her neck. Her eyes, once the talk of the nation, were wide, empty, staring at a silver statue of Lord Ganesha. I stepped back, gasping. "How brutal," I whispered. "She killed him, then herself." A final, horrifying statement. Vikram finally spoke. His voice, a low rasp. "Rongargan, look closer." His finger pointed to the fingerprint-shaped bruises on Zara's wrists. Someone restrained her, and look at the drag marks on the floor. She was dead before they hung her up. This isn't suicide. This is a clumsily staged double homicide. The investigation immediately spiraled into a political nightmare. Phones rang off the hook. The press swarmed like vultures. Priya Kapoor, their pregnant daughter, greeted us with a chilling, "Politicians gone." Even in mourning, she spoke of her readiness to take over her father's campaign, insisting their last family dinner had been perfectly normal. As we were leaving, Priya grabbed my hand. "Inspector," she whispered, "there's one thing. My parents were very anxious about the baby. They made me take the London test. Only 4 people knew. Priya, her parents, the doctor, and now us. The results came back yesterday. It's a boy. Please, don't let anyone know." We promised, but Vikram was unusually silent on the drive back. His hawk-like gaze lost in thought. He murmured just one chilling sentence. "Zara, she used to have the most beautiful eyes in Bollywood. Someone destroyed them." 2 days later, the bomb dropped. A blackmail email landed in Priya's encrypted inbox. The anonymous sender claimed to have a tablet containing all of Rohan Kapoor's secrets. The price was 50 million rupees, or the information would be released, crushing Priya's political career before it even began. Attached was an audio file. It was Rohan's voice. "The London test results are in. It's a boy. The dynasty is secured." My blood ran cold. I turned to Vic. "The London test. How did the blackmailer know?" "Only a handful of people were aware." The hunt for the tablet led us to a shocking conclusion. The server that hosted the blackmail email was traced to the basement of the Mumbai police headquarters, a place accessible only to high-ranking personnel. My superior looked at me. I looked at Vikram. The air in the room grew thick enough to choke on. "Vikram," the captain said, his voice grave. "Do you have anything to explain?" Vikram Rao sat motionless for a long moment. Then, he let out a sigh that seemed to carry decades of weight. "Yes," he said, his voice flat, devoid of emotion. "It was me." The room spun. My mentor, my partner, the man I considered a brother, confessed to everything. He spoke of a youthful love for Zara, back when they were both from the slums of Delhi. He spoke of the betrayal he felt when she left him for Rohan, her wealthy high school teacher, and the hatred that festered as he watched them erase their past. I hated them. Vikram Rao heard, his composure finally cracking. That night, I went to confront them. They laughed at me, called me a Dharavi sewer rat. In a fit of rage, I strangled Zara. When Rohan attacked, I tied him up and set him on fire. I took the tablet. I knew about the London test because I had been bugging Priya's phone. It all fit. The motive, the opportunity, the evidence. Vikram Rao was arrested. The case was closed. Priya Kapoor riding a tidal wave of public sympathy, won the election in a landslide. And yet for me, one small detail felt jarringly wrong. A week later, I returned to the crime scene. The apartment was cold, empty, lifeless. In the kitchen, I idly opened the dishwasher. Something glittered inside. 2 slender, gold-rimmed cutting chai glasses. I remembered the maid saying Zara cherished that set. She always washed them by hand with lemon because the designer, Mira, had warned her the dishwasher would ruin the gold trim. So why were they in the dishwasher now? Vikram claimed he attacked them the moment he arrived. Ad light. I found the designer, Mira, in her Bandra boutique. When she turned to face me, I almost froze. She had Zara's eyes. I didn't even need to ask. Mira confessed, sobbing. She was the illegitimate daughter Zara had given away in high school. On that fateful night, she had gone to her mother seeking help for her own daughter, who was struggling with addiction. But Zara had sneered, calling them gutter blood and gloating about the perfect grandson Priya was about to give her. I couldn't control myself, Mira cried. I used the silk cord I brought as a gift. I strangled my mother. She fled in a panic, never even seeing Rohan. My head was spinning. If Mira killed Zara, who killed Rohan? And why on earth did Vikram confess? I dug back into the files. Rohan's autopsy report held a crucial, overlooked detail. A very low level of carbon monoxide in his blood. He hadn't died from smoke inhalation, and the knot used on the rope was a fireman's hitcha, not Rohan, a former mountaineer, knew well. A terrible, brilliant, and cruel truth began to dawn on me. Rohan Kapoor came home to find his wife dead. He knew Mira, the daughter he believed was the killer. In a moment of desperate genius, he hatched a plan to protect both his daughters. He hung Zara's body to stage a suicide. He tied himself to the chair, sent the blackmail email from his own tablet to frame a phantom enemy, and then ingested poison. As he died, he set the fire. His death would hide Mira's crime and simultaneously create the wave of sympathy that would sweep Priya into power. 1 stone, 2 birds. But that still left Vikram. I visited him in prison. You knew, didn't you? You knew Rohan killed himself. Vikram nodded, his face etched with exhaustion. Rohan sent me the tablet and a letter explaining everything. He begged me to finish the plan and take the fall. But why? Why would you do that for him? I asked, completely bewildered. Elokatma, his eyes full of a profound weariness. Because Rohan was wrong. He died believing Mira was his daughter, but he miscalculated the dates. He showed me an old, faded photograph, a teenage Zara standing next to a young Mana. Young Vikram. Zara and I spent one night together. She did it to keep me quiet about her and Rohan. A month later, she was pregnant. The realization hit me like a physical blow. Mira, your daughter. Rohan died to protect his enemy's child, Vikram said with a bitter laugh. I failed to protect Zara. I watched my own daughter grow up as a stranger. Confessing was the only way I could finally save her. Arjun Rohan. Rohan died to create a prime minister. I was just trying to be a father. I left the prison. The city's noise fading into a dull hum. The case was closed. Justice, of a sort, was served, but I couldn't shake the image of those 2 glittering chai glasses, a testament to the agonizing truth that sometimes the most horrific lies are woven to protect one small, broken piece of love. Thank you for watching. If you found this story as compelling as I did, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more deep dives into complex cases. Stay safe out there.
The heavy wooden gavel struck down. A dry, final sound. I had lost. Across the stuffy courtroom, Ryoma Kuroki, that viper, was smiling. It wasn't a loud laugh, just a smug curl on his lips. A smile reserved only for me, Kenshin Tanaka, a failed professor of Western metallurgy, now the reluctant warden of the Imperial Mint. That look pierced right through the judge's heavy robes. It said, clear as day, Professor, you have lost. I felt the blood drain from my face. All the evidence, The months of surveillance, all meaningless. The old magistrate had muttered, "Evidence inadmissible." Why? Because my most important witness, Ito, the man I trusted most at the Mint, had just admitted it. He'd accepted gifts from Kuroki. My entire case was built on the testimony of a traitor. Ito bowed his head, but I saw his shoulders trembling. He wasn't repentant. He was laughing. Kuroki had planted him from the very beginning. Ryoma Kuroki was declared innocent. He stood, brushing invisible dust from his expensive silk kimono, and walked past me, so close I could smell the faint scent of sumi ink. "Professor," he whispered, his voice smooth as velvet, "perhaps you should return to your books. The real world demands subtlety." He vanished from the courtroom, leaving me standing amid the ashes of my career. That night, I didn't go home. I returned to my office at the Mint. The smell of metal and coal hung thick in the air. This place had been my humiliation. When Tokyo University modernized, they said my knowledge of classical metallurgy was obsolete. They pushed me here to manage the minting of new coins for the Meiji Empire. A tedious administrative post that slowly strangled my spirit. I had been drowning in a fog of failure for 2 years. Until the counterfeit money appeared. They weren't clumsy copies. They were masterpieces. Perfect in weight, flawless in engraving, finer than our official coins. They were an artistic declaration of war. And for the first time in years, I felt a spark. Not justice fury. The fury of a scholar. Someone was doing my job better than I was. The investigation pulled me from the mire. It gave me purpose. And Ryoma Kuroki, a disgraced master artisan, emerged as the prime suspect. I poured everything into the case. And today, Kuroki had taken it all. He hadn't just defeated me. He had humiliated me. He showed me he was 3 steps ahead, that he had infiltrated my own department. I stared at the candle on my desk. The familiar emptiness began to creep back in the urge to give up. But as the flame flickered, something else rose inside me. Something hotter, sharper. It wasn't despair. It was rage. Kuroki had misjudged me. He thought I was just a bookworm. He forgot that the metals I study aren't only used for coins. They forge swords. He wanted a war of subtlety. He would get it. I assembled a team, not police, not officials, outcasts, a petty thief who knew every alley in Asakusa, an old geisha who held the secrets of half the statesmen in Tokyo, and a retired sumo wrestler for muscle loyal only to money. I began to live 2 lives. By day, I was the stern warden Tanaka, attending dull meetings about copper alloys. By night, I donned the clothes of a humble merchant, slipping through tea houses, gambling dens, and the narrow alleys of Yoshiwara. I bought whispers, mapped Kuroki's network, and pieced together the empire of shadows he had built. He wasn't merely a counterfeiter, he was running a hidden economy. He laundered money through kabuki theaters. He financed opium smugglers. He was arrogant enough to publish anonymous essays mocking the poor craftsmanship of the Imperial Mint's new designs. He was taunting me, but Kuroki was careful. He never touched the counterfeit coins himself. He used a web of intermediaries. I could catch the small fish, but the viper always escaped. I needed something to tie him directly to the crime confession. But how do you make a man like Kuroki confess? Too smart to be tricked, too rich to be bribed, too arrogant to be afraid. Arrogance, that was the key, the arrogance of an artist. I'd read his essays, heard reports of his boasts in underground salons. He wasn't doing this for money. He was doing it to prove he was better than the Mint, better than me. He craved admiration. And so, the plan began to form. Ruthless, immoral, perfect. We didn't arrest Kuroki for counterfeiting. We arrested him for something utterly mundane: tax evasion, a crime beneath his pride. He was thrown into a common holding cell, angry but unafraid. He knew he could beat the charge easily. His lawyer would arrive in the morning. He didn't know the cell was prepared. He wasn't alone. I had placed an old man in there with him, a frail, coughing man trembling with fear. Kato, a great Rakugoka, a master storyteller. A man I had saved from crushing gambling debt weeks earlier. And hidden in the air vent, small enough for a child, was my thief from Asakusa, a man with the ears of a bat and the silence of a shadow to memorize every word. Kato began telling stories to calm his own fear, stories of legendary thieves, of brilliant scams, of artisans who created copies so perfect they fooled the gods. Kuroki listened in the dark, disdain twisting his lips. Kato told of a thief who stole the shogun's sword. Kuroki scoffed. A common burglar. Kato told of a swindler who sold the imperial palace to a foreigner. Kuroki yawned. Child's play. Finally, Kato, his voice trembling, told the story of a counterfeiter, a clumsy fool who was caught because his coins turned green from cheap brass. Kuroki couldn't stand it. "Be silent, you old fool," he hissed, his voice cutting through the darkness. "You speak of idiots, not artists. You know nothing of true creation." "Creation of what?" Kato asked timidly. "Perfection." Kuroki's voice swelled with pride. "Shall I enlighten you? Shall I tell you how to bring an empire to its knees with skill alone? How to forge a yen so perfect that even the warden of the mint, that pathetic Professor Tanaka, would swear it was his own?" And then Kuroki talked. He told everything. How he stole the original alloys. How he carved the dies by hand, by candlelight. How he mocked my weak defenses. He boasted. He preened. He confessed every detail. In the next cell, my thief, with perfect memory, recorded every word. The next morning, Kuroki entered the interrogation room, calm and confident. He expected his lawyer. Instead, he found me. I sat there with a thick stack of papers before me. "Good morning, Kuroki-san," I said. "Did you sleep well?" He narrowed his eyes. "Tanaka, what is this farce?" "Release me. We'll get to your release," I said, sliding the transcription toward him. "But first, I wanted to discuss your acid etching technique. It's truly impressive." Kuroki's face froze as he read. He saw the transcript, his boasts, his own words. His confidence cracked, but I wasn't finished. "You see, Ryoma," I said coldly, "you thought this was a duel between us. You were wrong. This was a problem, and I'm a scholar. I analyzed every variable. I pulled out another stack of files. You thought no one knew, but I know. I know about the lost copper shipment in Nagasaki Harbor 3 years ago. I know about the fire at your rival's forge in Osaka. I know every merchant, every gangster, every corrupt official in your network. I spread the diagrams on the table, hundreds of names connected by red ink, all leading to the center. To him, your confession in the cell will end you. But this network, I said, tapping the paper, this will erase your legacy. You're not an artist, Kuroki. You're just a greedy criminal. And you were caught by a bookworm. For the first time, I saw fear in his eyes. Not fear of death, but fear of exposure. The fear of an artist being revealed as a fraud. The second trial was swift. The confession was read aloud. The evidence of his criminal empire laid bare. Kuroki said nothing. He only stared at me. The arrogance was gone. His eyes were empty. He was sentenced to death. Weeks later, I stood in the courtyard of the mint, overseeing the destruction of the counterfeit dies. The furnace roared, consuming Kuroki's twisted masterpieces. Ito, the traitor, had been arrested. Kuroki's network dismantled. The economy stabilized. I should have felt victorious, but I only felt tired. I had waded into darkness to catch a monster, and some of that darkness clung to me. I was no longer the idealistic professor. I was the man who had used deception, manipulation, and espionage to win. I returned to my office. On my desk lay a new stack of reports production costs, nickel alloys, routine bureaucracy. The tedious work continued. But as I sat there, I picked up a newly minted coin. I turned it in my hand. The metal was cold, solid, real. The innocence of a professor was going forged in the fire of this war into something else. An unyielding resolve, hard as the steel we use for our dies. I had looked into the darkness, and I had learned to see within it. I am Kenshin Tanaka. I am the warden of the mint, and this mint, this economy, this reality is my domain. Thank you for listening to my story. If you enjoyed this journey into the shadows of Meiji-era Japan, please like this video and subscribe for more Tales from the Edge. See you next time.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into a story that's not just a tale, but an experience. Imagine the scorching heat of Rajasthan, the kind that makes the air shimmer and dance. Now, picture a fading scent of jasmine, sweet at first, then almost heavy, like something left too long in the sun. That's how it all began for Priya. She woke to that scent, pressed down by the thick, damp heat inside their tent. Outside, voices murmured, sharp and impatient. Her husband, Rohan, among them. Rohan, an archaeologist by trade, a treasure hunter at heart, was always restless. Priya had followed him for years across ancient ruins and forgotten lands. But this place, this village in the heart of the desert, where time seemed to have stopped, felt different. The villagers watched them with eyes that held no welcome, no hostility, just the silent certainty of a story already written. Priya, Rohan's voice cut through the air. We're leaving soon. Bring the water. She slowly sat up, dust motes dancing in the golden shafts of light filtering through the tent. The endless desert stretched outside, and in its embrace, a secret Rohan was determined to unearth. He was obsessed with a legend, a mystery that had drawn them to this remote corner of the world. But Priya couldn't shake the feeling that the land itself was resisting them. Stepping out, the sunlight hit her like a physical blow. Rohan was already arguing with an elderly woman, a Mataji, whose bent posture belied her powerful presence. The villagers formed a silent ring around them, their faces unreadable. And in the center of their circle, yawning, open to the sky, was the object of Rohan's desire, an ancient Bauri. But this was no grand, beautiful structure from pictures. The desert had claimed its beauty, leaving only cracked steps, disappearing into a light-swallowing darkness. A massive stone slab sealed its bottom, secured by 8 brass locks, blackened with age. Rohan's impatience was clear. Mataji, just tell us how to open it. The old woman's voice was quiet, yet firm. It should not be opened. The well is not empty, it is resting. Rohan scoffed, a dry, dismissive laugh escaping him. Resting, it's a pit, not a person. The Mataji slowly lifted her blind eyes, her gaze seeming to pierce right through Rohan. Everything that takes in breath, even once, remembers how to sleep. A ripple of murmurs went through the villagers. Was it a prayer? A warning? Rohan dismissed it, turning to Priya. She's been saying this since we arrived, just some local myth to keep us out. But Priya wasn't so sure. Every night since they'd arrived, she dreamt the same dream. Water that wasn't water, rippling without sound, and something beneath the surface exhaling. The dreams were so real. She'd wake up with the taste of jasmine in her throat. That morning, even the air around the well felt like it was breathing. Rohan gathered his team, 3 city men, restless and eager. One of them, Samir, had been missing since the previous night. Rohan Sahidi wandered off, The villagers whispered he'd been claimed. No one went looking for him. They just stayed farther from the well. Enough superstition, Rohan declared, wiping sweat from his brow. We're opening it today. The Mataji stepped closer, her white hair stirring faintly in the breeze. If you open it, you must give it something in return, she said. Rohan's patience snapped. What does that mean? It asks for the touch of loss, she whispered, a hand that once held life and could not keep it. Her words struck Priya like a physical blow. Priya froze. 6 months ago, she had lost a child before it was born. No one in this village knew. Not even Rohan spoke of it anymore. Mataji, Priya began, her voice a tremor, but the old woman simply turned her head toward Priya, as if seeing the truth through the silence. Rohan caught Priya's arm, his grip tight. She's guessing. Don't listen. But his eyes lingered on Priya for a moment too long, a flicker of something unreadable. Then he gestured toward the locks. Priya, you're the only one she seems to respect. Ask her for the keys. The old woman didn't hesitate. From the folds of her shawl, she drew out a ring of 8 brass keys. They gleamed faintly in the sun, cold and damp, as if they didn't belong in the desert heat. Once you begin, she warned, her voice low, you cannot stop until all 8 are turned. Priya took the keys without a word. The villagers stepped back. Even Rohan fell silent. The only sound the low hum of the desert wind. She knelt beside the stone and found the first lock. Her fingers trembled as the cold metal met her skin. It turned with a brittle click that echoed eerily up the walls of the well. The air seemed to shift around them. The second lock opened more easily. From somewhere below, a sound answered, like water moving, though the well had been dry for centuries. By the fourth lock, the temperature dropped noticeably. Priya's breath misted in the air. The fifth lock released a faint cry, soft and almost human. So quiet, she almost believed she imagined it. Keep going, Rohan's voice, taut and strained, came from behind her. When the last lock finally turned, all 8 fell away together. The massive slab shivered, then began to move, sliding aside with a deep, grinding moan. A dark opening appeared beneath it, so dark that even the harsh desert sunlight refused to penetrate. For a long, silent moment, no one spoke. Rohan leaned forward, staring into the abyss. It's just a chamber, he said, trying to reassure himself, or perhaps them. Look. He dropped a small stone inside. It fell and never seemed to land. The Mataji turned her face away. It has no bottom, she whispered. Rohan ignored her, signaling to one of his men. Bring the line, we'll send someone down. The man hesitated, glancing at the ominous opening. Sir, maybe wait until evening. Now, Rohan commanded, his voice sharp. Reluctantly, the man tied a rope around his waist and began his descent. His flashlight flickered like a fragile pulse against the overwhelming darkness, shrinking until it was gone. Minutes stretched into an eternity. Then, the rope went still. Do you see anything? Rohan called down, his voice echoing into the void. Silence. He pulled the rope slightly. It was heavy, too heavy. Pull him up, Rohan ordered. Together, the men strained, dragging the rope hand over hand. It resisted as if something on the other end was holding it down. Finally, a shape appeared at the rim. The man climbed out, breathing hard, his face ashen. He didn't speak. He didn't look at anyone. Rohan stepped closer, demanding, What did you see? The man's eyes met his, empty and vacant, like the well itself. "It's not empty," he whispered. Then, a slow, soft smile spread across his face, like a child hearing a lullaby. The villagers gasped. The Matashi bowed her head. "It has chosen," she said. "It always chooses." Rohan frowned, bewildered. "Chosen what?" "The one who opened the locks," she replied, her voice solemn. "The keeper." Every gaze turned to Priya. A weight settled over Priya's chest. Not fear, but something slower, heavier. The grief she had carried for months, the hollow ache of loss, began to dissolve. In its place came a strange stillness, a profound sense of belonging. "Priya," Rohan said, reaching for her, his voice urgent. "Let's go. We have enough." But the well's whisper filled the space between them. It sounded like water running backward. Priya could feel it inside her, like a second heartbeat. The scent of jasmine returned, fresh this time, clean and sweet. The old woman lifted her head, breathing it in deeply. "It remembers," she murmured. "Remembers what Rohan demanded." "The mother," she said. "It remembers the loss it was promised." A sound rose from the darkness, a soft hum, almost melodic. It wrapped around Priya's thoughts, gentle and insistent. For the first time in months, she felt an overwhelming sense of peace. Rohan took a step back, his eyes wide with a dawning fear. "Priya, we're leaving." She smiled at him, a soft, serene smile. "Yes," she said, "we are." The ground beneath them trembled. The villagers began to chant, their voices low and rhythmic. Sand swirled through the air like mist. Rohan grabbed Priya's hand, but she barely felt it. Her pulse was steady, calm. The whispers in her mind grew louder, shapes forming behind her eyes, images of water that moved like living glass. Something deep below was waking. The Mataji's voice rose above the rising wind. "It is not a curse," she said. "It is a continuation. The keeper must return what was taken." Rohan shouted something Priya couldn't hear. His voice was distant, drowned by the murmuring that filled her head. She looked once more into the well. She didn't see darkness anymore. She saw light, soft, golden, and endless, like sunlight refracted through deep water. And in that light, a tiny hand reaching up, waiting. Tears blurred her vision. She took a step forward. The wind quieted. Even the chanting stopped. "Priya?" Rohan's voice cracked, filled with desperation. She turned to him and smiled through the shimmer of heat. "It's all right," she said, her voice a calm whisper. "I know where it is now." The scent of jasmine grew stronger, wrapping around her like a familiar embrace. When she reached the edge, the air shifted again, cool and welcoming. She heard the faint cry of a child, not of pain, but of greeting. The old woman's voice echoed softly behind her. "Every door needs a hand to open it. Every dream needs a keeper to stay awake." Then there was only stillness. No one saw Priya move. No one saw what followed. The villagers said the air folded itself, that the well sighed once, and that the scent of jasmine never left the village again. When Rohan was found days later, he wandered the dunes in silence, clutching a small brass key in his hand. He never spoke of what happened, only stared into the horizon as if waiting for someone to return. And sometimes, when the wind blows across the desert at night, the people of that village say they hear a woman humming near the stepwell, a lullaby carried on the scent of jasmine. What an incredible, chilling, and strangely beautiful story, right? It makes you wonder what truly lies beneath the surface, both in ancient wells and in our own hearts. Have you ever felt drawn to a place or experienced a connection that defies explanation? Let me know in the comments below if you found this tale captivating. Please hit that like button. Subscribe for more stories that explore the mysterious and the unknown. And ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. The stiff bristles scrubbed against my skin. It was 3 in the morning, and the only sound in my silent Berlin apartment was the she of nylon on my palm. My cuticles were torn and bleeding, but I couldn't stop. I was kneeling on the freezing kitchen tile, scouring my hands with industrial soap, the chemical lemon scent so strong it made my eyes water. The strange thing? My hands weren't dirty. They were just raw and swollen. But a voice in my head kept whispering an immovable command. Asterisk, not clean enough. Still dirty. Asterisk, I started to realize something was wrong about 2 weeks after I moved in. This shared flat, one Jaminskaft, was a steal. Soaring ceilings, creaky old floorboards, the rent was absurdly cheap. My roommate, Marcus, told me the previous tenant, Ank, had an accident. He didn't elaborate. In Berlin, you don't question cheap rent. The problem started with small things. I'm messy, I'll admit it. One day, I kicked off my snow-caked boots by the door. The next morning, they were on the shoe rack, spotless, polished to a mirror shine. I asked Marcus about it. Thanks for cleaning my boots, I said. He just looked up from his laptop, confused. Clean what? Boots. Wasn't me. I let it go. Maybe he was just being modest, but then it kept happening. My messy pile of textbooks would rearrange itself into neat stacks. The coffee cup I'd left in the living room would reappear, clean and dry, in the kitchen cabinet. The apartment started to feel less like a cozy student flat and more like a sterile laboratory. And then came the smell, a permanent, oppressive odor of chemical cleansers. It wasn't just someone mopping. It clung to the curtains, seeped into my pillows. I could sometimes taste the bitterness of it in the back of my throat. When I asked Marcus, he just took a deep breath and said, "Smell what?" Clean air. I started to think I was going crazy. Soon, the help became punitive. One night, I was exhausted from my bar shift and left a half-eaten plate of pizza on the counter. The next morning, the plate was gone. In its place, right in front of my bedroom door, was a pile of shattered porcelain. It wasn't just thrown there. It was arranged, meticulously sorted, large pieces on one side, tiny shards on the other. Like some sick art installation, there was no trace of food. The floor around it was immaculate. My heart hammered in my chest. I ran to Marcus's room and pounded on the door. "Did you break my plate?" He opened it, his eyes red with sleep. When he saw the pile, his face went pale. "I didn't do that," he said. "Christ. I thought asterisk, you asterisk, did it." He stared at me, a new fear in his eyes. "You've been weird lately, Lena. You're walking around all night." I told him he was wrong, but he insisted. "I hear things." Scrubbing. "Last week, I saw you cleaning the gaps between the floorboards with cotton swabs at 4 in the morning. A chill ran down my spine. I didn't want to admit it, but I remembered. It was a hazy memory, like a dream, a feeling of compulsion, an intense urge that the gap was too dirty. That's when the real fear began. The fear wasn't coming from a ghost. It was coming from inside me. Angst, obsession, her lingering will, hadn't just stayed in the apartment. It was seeping into me. I began cleaning uncontrollably. I couldn't stand a single speck of dust. I couldn't sleep if the sink wasn't gleaming. Every time I tried to resist, a terrible, suffocating anxiety would build in my chest, easing only when I picked up a broom. I was turning into her. Marcus started avoiding me, locking his door. The apartment became terrifyingly quiet, filled only with the echo of my own compulsions. Then, last night, the silence broke. I was cleaning the living room windows, wiping the same invisible smudge over and over. Snow was falling outside. From the hallway, I heard it. Asterisk scrape. 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 Asterisk. A dry, asterisk scrape. It wasn't me. And Marcus had gone home for the weekend. I was alone. The scraping stopped. A heavy silence fell. Then another sound. A light knock on glass. Asterisk tap. 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 I turned slowly. Through the glass, fogged by my own breath, I saw a shape, a dark mass in the blizzard, standing on the narrow balcony just a few feet away. Asterisk tap, 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 dot, asterisk. It was knocking. It wanted in. My breath hitched. The shape tilted its head. I couldn't see a face. Just long, dark hair matted against something that should have been a face. I screamed. I scrambled back, tripping over an armchair, and crawled to my room, slamming and locking the door. I've been in here ever since. It's been 12 hours. The sun came up, and now it's setting again. The snow has stopped. The silence is absolute. I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, but I don't dare open the door, because something has changed. The compulsion is gone. The frantic anxiety to clean, it all vanished. In its place is a hollow, cold feeling. And I realized the truth. Ank didn't die from a simple accident. A few days ago, I'd found an old news article. A freak snowstorm, a young woman, Ank Schmidt, found on her own apartment balcony, dead from hypothermia. The balcony door, the article said, had been locked. From the inside, I look around my room. It's soullessly clean. My clothes are perfectly folded. My books aligned, not a single speck of dust. I look in the mirror. The woman looking back has hollow, tired eyes. Her skin is pale as wax. Her long, dark hair is matted to her forehead. I don't recognize her. Suddenly, a sound from outside. Footsteps. The familiar creak of the floorboards. Marcus, I whisper. No answer. Instead, I hear the lock on my door. The metallic click as it turns from the outside. The door slowly opens. I don't scream. I just sit on my bed. The hallway is dark, but I can smell Etha overpowering chemical lemon scent. Something is standing in the threshold. A shadow in the darkness. Not clean enough. A voice whispers. A sound as dry as dead leaves. Still dirty. I look down at my hands. They're tingling again. The urge. It's coming back. The shadow takes one step into the room, and I realize the final twist. Ank never left. She didn't need me to clean the apartment. She needed a replacement. The compulsion hits me like a tidal wave. The floor is filthy. It must be scrubbed. Asterisk now, asterisk. I stand up slowly. I hear my own weeping as I walk past the shadow, heading toward the kitchen to find the brush. I can't stop because the obsession needs a host. And this room, at last, is perfectly clean.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Tonight, we're diving deep into a story that'll have you checking your peepholes and rethinking your neighbors. This isn't just a tale. It's a chilling descent into a monsoon night where secrets fester and trust is a dangerous game. Get ready, because what happened in apartment 603 and the whole Mumbai Star building is something you won't easily forget. Let's unravel Priya's nightmare. The rain hammered against the window of apartment 603, not just falling, but attacking. It was 3 a.m, and the air was a thick, suffocating blanket, damp concrete, a whiff of old curry, and something else, something sweet and sickly, like rose water, but it shouldn't have been there. My name is Priya, and I knew, with a certainty that iced my veins, that something terrible was coming. Then, a yelp, not just a bark, but a high-pitched, panicked scream of pure terror, cutting through the deluge. It was Ria's dog from 601. That lazy, spoiled thing barely ever made a peep. My spine went cold. The building's WhatsApp group, Mumbai Star, exploded. Mrs. D'Souza in 204 was first. Please, what dog is that? Then Mr. Sharma from 302, the perpetually grumpy one, chimed in. Someone shut that dog up in 601. People are trying to sleep. Angry emojis, some likes for Mr. Sharma. But I just stared at my phone, hands clammy. I knew why Ria couldn't quiet her dog. I knew better than anyone that Ria was lying on her marble bathroom floor. Pale, still, eyes wide open, staring at a decorative light that was still burning. I knew because I had been there just 2 hours earlier. The rain had only just begun to drizzle back then. I stood at Ria's door, 601, holding damp printouts, bank statements, screenshots, proof. Proof of my husband Rohan's betrayal. Proof of the money he'd been funneling to her. I was there to confront her, to beg. When she opened the door, she wasn't surprised. She smiled. An emerald silk robe, a wine glass. Her apartment smelled of expensive perfume and new furniture. "Oh, Priya," she'd purred, her voice lazy. "You finally came. Come in." I remember begging her. "Ria, please. He doesn't know what he's doing. You have to stop." She laughed. A light, airy sound, but sharp as broken glass. "Stop? Sweetie, he knows exactly what he's doing. He's sick of a boring life. He's sick of you." She took a slow sip of wine, looking at me over the rim. And frankly, so am I. My voice trembled as I held out the papers. "This isn't just about us. This is company money. Rohan is..." "Oh, I know." She cut me off, her amusement vanishing, replaced by a cold, calculating gaze. "He's embezzling, quite a lot, and I have all the proof right here." She tapped a laptop on the bar. "He thought he was smart, but he's stupid. And so are you, if you think you're just here to talk about an affair." She stood up, her silk robe rustling. "You see, Priya, I'm not just his mistress. I'm his new business partner. And tomorrow, I'm telling his other partners about his little fraud scheme. Unless, she smiled, a predatory glint in her eyes, he agrees to give me 70%. My blood ran cold. You're blackmailing him. I'm blackmailing both of you, she corrected. And you're not the only one. That engineer Karen in 401? His shady contract with the developer? I have all of it. I'm going to ruin all of you. She picked up her phone. I think I'll call Rohan first. Or maybe Karen. See who bids higher. That's when I panicked. I didn't lunge to hurt her. I lunged for the phone. It was a desperate, unthinking act. We struggled. It was clumsy, pathetic. She was stronger than I thought. She pushed me. I stumbled, and as I tried to regain my balance, I shoved her back. Just a shove. But she lost her footing in her high heels, falling backward. I heard a sickening crack. A dry sound, followed by shattering glass. Her head had hit the edge of the glass coffee table. She didn't get up. She just lay there. The room was so quiet, I could hear the rain getting heavier outside. Then, another sound. A choking, gurgling breath. I crawled to her, her eyes focused on me. Blood began to seep from her hair. And then, she smiled. A slow, bloody smile. You, she choked out. You are dead. She was still reaching for the phone. I didn't think. I just saw the emerald silk pillow on the sofa. I grabbed it. I just wanted her to be quiet. I just wanted the threats to stop. I pressed the pillow over her face, using my entire weight. There was a weak struggle, then nothing. When I could breathe again, when my heart stopped pounding, the silence was absolute. I looked down at my hands, and then I smelled it. The metallic smell of blood. Panic rose in my throat. I ran into her bathroom, desperate for something. Bleach, floor cleaner, anything. I found a bottle of bleach under the sink. I poured it on the floor. I started scrubbing, but the bleach smell was too strong. It was choking me. I needed to cover it. I fumbled in my purse, found the small bottle of rose water I always carry for prayers. A pure thing to cover a filthy one. I poured it everywhere. On the floor. On her. On the pillow. A frantic, stupid attempt. I thought it would hide everything. I thought the storm would wash it all away. I ran. I locked the door behind me. Now, back in my apartment 603, my phone buzzed. A new message. From Ria. Don't worry. I handled it. My heart stopped. Impossible. Then a photo uploaded. Blurry, taken in a hurry. The dog on its side. Motionless. A dark pool beneath it. The chat went silent. A heavy, terrifying silence. Worse than the barking. Soon after, Mr. Gupta in 501 posted a video. A trail of dark liquid, almost black in the low light, was dripping through a crack in his bathroom ceiling. It smells, he typed, his voice panicked. It smells like flowers and chemicals. My chest seized. Bleach and rose water. I remembered. The faucet. When I was trying to wash my hands in Ria's bathroom, I had fumbled with the gold-plated tap. I had left it running. I had spilled the bleach and the rose water on the bathroom floor, and I had left the tap running, overflowing the tub. Vikram from 502 declared he was going up. He's the biggest guy in the building, a good man. I'll go check. Karen, in 401, the logical engineer, urged calm. Call security, he wrote. Don't go up yourself. Security is too slow, Vikram typed back. I'm in the elevator. My heart hammered. No, Vikram, don't. Then Vikram's message. It's all good. It was a misunderstanding. The dog got sick. Ria took it to the vet. The leak was a burst pipe. Everyone go to sleep. Relief hit me so hard my knees buckled. I almost cried. She was alive. Maybe she was just hurt. Maybe I hadn't, but it didn't last. My phone vibrated again. This time, a private group. Just me, Karan, 401, and Mr. Sharma, 302. It was Karan. Did you see Vikram's message? Yes, I typed back, hands still shaking. Thank God. No, Karan replied. Priya, look closely. He always uses punctuation. Always. That message didn't have a single period. I scrolled back. He was right. A rushed, blunt sentence. Others started noticing things that didn't add up. How could she get a dog to the vet at 3 in the morning in a typhoon? The smell in the hallway was stronger now, rose water and something metallic under it, seeping under my door. I pressed my ear to the door. Nothing but the rain. Then, suddenly, the peephole went dark. Not just a shadow passing. It went black, as if someone was standing right outside, pressing their eye to it from the other side. I let out a choked scream, stumbling back, tripping. My phone vibrated. Private message. From Vikram. Open the door. It's me. Priya, open the door. I got away. He's in there. At the same time, Karan messaged the private group. Don't open. I'm watching from my window. Someone is at your door. It's Vikram. A knock. Not loud. Polite. Tap, tap, tap. A voice whispered through the wood. Priya, open the door. It's me. Vikram. Go away, I hissed. Please, Priya. The voice whispered, still polite. He's in there. He's watching me. Open the door. Karan messaged. He's lying. I can see him. He's just standing there. He isn't moving. He's texting from Vikram's phone. I backed away, pressing myself against the cold wall. The hallway fell silent. The knocking stopped. I held my breath, staring at the door. Someone in the chat said the police were on their way. Mr. Sharma had called them. I told myself to lock the door, to breathe, to be invisible. Then Karan messaged again, just to me. This time his tone had changed. It wasn't panicked, it was cold. You did well, Priya. Keep calm. I frowned. What? Who is out there? Doesn't matter. It's handled. He's gone from your door. A pause. You don't remember, do you? The meeting in the car park? The shock is messing with your head. Fragmented memories returned. Karan in the dark car park last week. She's a cancer, Priya. She's blackmailing me over the construction contract. She's going to ruin us both. We agreed, Karan's message continued. You were the only one who could get inside. You would confront her. I would handle the rest. I would handle the digital cleanup. I would handle the distraction. I stared at the phone, the picture of the dog. The message from Ria's phone. Vikram. You, I whispered. It was you. You were in 601. I had to go in right after you left, he messaged. The dog was a mess. It wouldn't stop barking. Vikram was an unfortunate accident. He shouldn't have tried to be a hero. But it's clean now. I looked down at my hands. They smelled of rosewater and bleach. My head was spinning. I wasn't alone. I was part of a plan I didn't even fully understand. The rain outside sounded like a curtain closing. The police are coming, Karan messaged. Mr. Sharma called them. He's a loose end. I'll take care of the scene here. I'll make it look like Vikram and Ria killed each other. A burglary gone wrong. Tragic. All you have to do is play the terrified neighbor. Can you do that, Priya? Just stay calm. We're almost safe. I had an impossible choice. Tell the truth to the strangers in uniform who were coming, or trust the voice on my phone who promised to fix it for me. I walked to the kitchen. I opened a drawer. My fingers closed around something ordinary. The knife I used to chop vegetables. It felt heavy and real in my palm, cold, certain. For a second, I imagined every possible ending. I saw myself using it. I saw myself resisting it. Then I let it go. The metallic sound against the wood was soft. I pressed my ear to the door again. My heart was a hammer. The hallway remained empty. But I stepped out into the hallway anyway, because waiting felt like a trap. Waiting was death. Apartment 603 was my tomb. As I stepped out, I heard the ding of the elevator from afar, in the lobby. The police were arriving below. I turned and walked toward the stairwell, the smell of rosewater following me like a memory I could not scrub away. "Please," I whispered to the empty stairwell. "Let this end." Step by step, I went down,